are listening to Goof On Radio with Rich Giordano.
My personal belief is that there is very compelling evidence that we may not be alone.
There has been and is an existing presence, an ET presence. It's not going to make a difference. It's not going to change reality.
I believe, as do the other folks that were on the flight, that when we visually saw it, that it was something not from this world.
Goof On Radio.
You were either in or you were either out, brother.
But the cream will rise to the top, oh yeah.
Goof On Radio with Rich Giordano.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Goof On Radio.
Remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor.
You are listening to Goof On Radio with Rich Giordano.
All right. Welcome to Goof On, everybody. I'm your host, Rich Giordano. It is Tuesday, November 28th, 2023. We're almost at the end of the year, and we're going out with a bang. We are not going to stop truthology for ufology. Ring the bell. Ring the bell. Didn't go. Next time. So we're here tonight to talk about this King Milk Fart troll with Elizondo, how they probably masterminded what they've now we're talking about the last couple of years. This King Milk Fart actually has been around longer, but the last couple of years, Red Panda Koala, Chupacabra, they have been on X, which formerly known as Twitter, and showing all the issues that arise from King Milk Fart and with the help of Elizondo. So we're going to find out about the attacks from Lou and King Milk Fart. Many of us have a brush in with King Milk Fart. I thought I did. And I've been talking about it for a long time, maybe the last 8-9 months, that King Milk Fart threatened my life, that threatened to murder my family. I have to say this right now. He did not say those things to me. It was actually Christopher Wolford, who I heard was like generation one of King Milk Fart type of harassment groups. And they put these factions together and send people out to harass, dox, and cancel people like us who don't see eye to eye with Elizondo or those people who believe in what he believes in. So he's gotten together with this guy. That's why this is being brought up. Elizondo just became friends with King Milk Fart's new account, which means to me that, he's going to be still trying to dox people and harass people who say opposite of what they think, or even a little differently, or if they don't like you, we've been there, we know. So I want to apologize for saying over the last few months to King Milk Fart that, hey, it wasn't you. I was wrong. And now, use me as an example. Now, when you hear stories from Roswell and from way back in the day, and these people, they're 98 right now, they still remember. And I'm like, hey, this only happened 14 years ago, and I forgot details of my own experience. So humans are horrible at remembering shit perfectly, and I'm a prime example of it. It's twice I've done that in the last 20 years, and that's why I record, on video everything I do. So with that being said, I'm going to bring in our guests. We have Alien Girl 111, Amy.
Oh,
how
hey.
You doing?
Hi.
Hi.
Good. How are you?
Nice to have your assistants here tonight. I'm really
chatting.
all day long. I've been waiting for this to happen, and I'm glad. I like controversy. Who doesn't? But we're going to hear about. Did you have an experience with King Milkfart too?
No, I've not had an experience with King Milkfart, and I reached out to King Milkfart before we did this show, just because a lot of people had questions. They heard that you and I were doing a show together, and that was exciting for a lot of people, me and you, and a lot of our friends. And I guess they had heard that we also were going to be doing a show about, I don't know specifically what, but we ended up touching base, and I told Joe, that's his name. I think that's his name. Joe is King Milkfart's name. And I told him if he wants to send a statement, he's more than welcome to. My DMs are open throughout the whole show. We're here to be just all about walking into a direction where things can be more open in this field, where there really are places where you can share perspectives. And Rich, you and I agree and disagree on a lot of things. And that's kind of what's fun about our friendship. Is there's things I think is totally real and totally fake or whatever, and vice versa. We have fun with the conversations because I'm not like, how dare you say that about Bob Lazar, Rich? I am never right. Like and I think like if and I've never understood that. And so I hope as we delve into this and we go into this, we can just kind of purge maybe some of those energies, realize like we obviously are not going to agree to disagree or agree on everything in ufology. Actually, 90% of the time we're going to agree to disagree on things, like 90% of the time.
No, it's about half with us. It's about half with us.
But still,
you're talking generally.
It should be expected that people are going to push back on aliens, on extraterrestrials, on all this stuff, on psyops and everything.
Yeah, but not to dox, cancel, and harass. It's amazing.
I don't know, though. I don't know. Well, I don't know.
Well, I don't know either. That's why we're having, I'll bring in Tupa Cabra. It says Tupa here. What's up, Tupa?
What's going on?
Hey, I appreciate you coming on here. You are on X now, formerly known as Twitter, right? Just there exclusively?
That's correct. I do have a YouTube channel, but X is where I primarily interact with UFO and ufology as a whole.
And you just reminded me, I'll have to grab all your guys' links, and if you wanted me to, so people can talk and reach out if they need to know more.
Sure.
But what's your role in all this? Before I bring in Red Panda Koala, what's your role in all this?
I became a kind of a character in ufology just through UFO Twitter and interacting. Got a lot of exposure. I put out a lot of little projects, and eventually, Corbell was reposting my work, asked for like an art commission, all kinds of interesting things were happening. And so I got to interact with a lot of aspects of ufology through UFO Twitter. And I came up against, not up against in an adversarial way, but, a lot of different parts of it. And so it was cool. But in that aspect, there was clear lines in the sand that were being drawn at that time. And there were requests of my allegiance to certain ideas. And to X out others, other people. And, it came light. It always comes light. It's never really direct. It's always like, hey, doesn't that guy suck? Like, you'd never go on that show, right? Like, stuff like that. And, it just, to me, was always off-putting, but it was there. And so I would just kind of recognized it. Then eventually I became targeted by this particular group through, particularly through, I guess, upsetting Joe, KMF. And it was just after that, it was a year, still kind of going on. But these guys, through kind of interacting with it and seeing it and becoming, kind of part of it as a target, watching the pattern show from things that I had seen, in that earlier time when I wasn't part of any of it, I wasn't targeted, but I did recognize certain behavior. I did recognize certain kind of like inner circles, and also like targeted harassment that I didn't realize was as prevalent or as dangerous as it turned out to be. And so it's interesting now with the new lens, I can look back and be like, oh, okay, I see it. Something's up.
It's nice to have that looking back luxury after things happen.
Hindsight's the best.
It is, isn't it? Well said. Well, I'm going to bring in Red Panda Koala. Red Panda, how you doing?
Hello, how's it going, guys? Thanks for having us on. And I want to say, like what I told you behind the stage, there's a lot of people who don't want to have this conversation because they're afraid of getting targeted. So I commend your courage for having this conversation. And I also want to harp in on how you had said, the whole Chris Wolford thing. And I try and be really careful too, because I actually do really feel like there's an element of this group that I think has ties to Elizondo that does weaponize like emotionally and mentally maybe vulnerable people. You know what I mean? So it's like, even Milk Fart, to be honest, I feel bad for that guy. I feel like he gets worked up to do a lot of things that are illegal, that he probably wouldn't be doing if he wasn't being rewarded and kind of like paraded around by some of these higher figures in ufology, particularly Lou Elizondo. But you saying that, like, and a lot of people are kind of new to UFO Twitter, probably post Grush hearings and whatnot, and they kind of think that this is just like a drama with KMF and Chupacabra, but this pattern and system, from my research, has been going back years. So I guess for me, I got into ufology 2017, right? And we talked about this behind the scenes a bit, but I didn't really like brush up against this because I do a lot of old documentaries about people who are dead. I feel like people who do like more of the daily live streams and trying to get guests, they were more tuned into the network of kind of like guest giving and like don't ask hard questions of certain people. You know what I mean? Don't question XYZ if you want guests. And that to me, that always made sense, but I didn't realize that along with that, there was an element of harassment and stuff that you, Rich, and like we had said, Wolford was kind of like a generation one attack dog. So I had been doing my stuff, right? And I'd kind of started to notice things here and there that were kind of weird. Like I remember when Josh and Artemis were supposed to have Lou Elizondo on, and then there was like that whole kind of weird thing beforehand. And then also UCR, Lou Jimenez, that was my first ever interview I went on. And I was like, I really love that show. And then when the question about Faceless Bureaucrat, which is Elizondo's sock puppet, came up, I didn't really understand it at the time. But like, that was another thing where it's like, something's weird here. And then when he had his like Big Fun Home 3, like, I don't know what we want to call that to be respectful, but when he was just kind of like letting it all out, that's when it was like, okay, something's really weird. And then once Tupa started getting targeted, and it wasn't, for people to know, it wasn't just Chupacabra, like something they do, and Dorothy Hawkins is in the chat, I see her, they attack like the fans and like the support system of people who they are targeting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it wasn't just Chupacabra getting attacked in this way. It was like multiple people, because he was hosting spaces every day. He was like a good community center kind of to be. And I also want to give Chupacabra credit. He doesn't get enough credit, in my opinion. I feel like people, partially, I think they need to paint us as bad to kind of pacify their own like lack of action on this, because like we're in ufology, right? So we're all about like fuck the government and like look at all this fucked up shit they've done, or sorry, messed up stuff they've done. But like this happening now, it's like people have like blinders on, or intentionally. And in my opinion, after researching this stuff, Chupacabra was targeted because he didn't go along with this stuff. He was getting put on. He was in the process of being hired at Enigma Labs. And the things I point to, and I could tell you why, one of them was about Lou Jimenez. He was getting called specifically to like not go on that show because of the whole fallout, right?
Yeah.
He also, John Greenwald of the Black Vault, got targeted really hard over his ICIG coverage. And he's someone who's also been targeted like since round one, but they've done various campaigns on him. And last year, his ICIG coverage got him extra targeted. And Tupa kind of like publicly was like, this isn't cool. And I say that because Milk Fart, when he started his thing, he made a direct callback to that. So that was like in June, and then the Tupa takedown started in December. So it's just like a bunch of those. And then the Project Unity thing too. Like he saw it happen again in Project Unity about that whole video and stuff. So that's in my opinion. Oh, and also, sorry, I'm talking a lot, but another thing was when Lou Elizondo did his whole ufology must die thing. Chupacabra made a video saying like, this is kind of weird. You know what I mean? And mind you, he was like getting put on at this time really hardcore. He was having like Gary Nolan hop in spaces and like, you know, all this stuff we see people when they're on their little come up, and he was doing that, and he called out the behavior, and that's in my opinion why he was targeted. So
let me ask you this to jump in. Could it be possible that King Milkfart is Lou Elizondo?
No, I don't think so. We for sure know he's like a different person, but
Oh, okay.
And what you were speaking on too, why it was so crazy is that one, King Milkfart, and for I guess to the audience, I don't know how basically the core premise is there is a group that from my research since about 2017, 2018, like the whole TTSA rollout, that kind of formed and like fermented. And I think even you could say it maybe started with like pure intentions, but over time it's just adopted very bad tactics. So like the first generation, like you were saying, Chris Wolford was kind of like one of the attack dogs, and they went after you. They went after Keith Clore was an early target of this group. Sarah Scholes, Black Vault was early target, because he just like FOIA stuff. And if you question any of this narrative stuff, and the sad part is it's like someone had said this in a space. I don't know if they want to be names, so I won't say their name, but like there's a few names in ufology who could like end this tomorrow. If they were to put out a statement, and they don't, and in fact they actually actively like engage with these people, and it seems like reward them for this behavior. So it's like it's a totally, in my terms, it's like totally an operation going on. These people are clearly emboldened. They all clearly have like insider knowledge. We saw a lot of them saying the whole buckle the fuck up thing today, like before the article even dropped, right? So like they're all in this network together, and they go after people together. And it's the pattern shows it's usually if you say something, it used to be if you said something bad about TTSA, and now it's if you say something bad about like Elizondo is kind of what it seems to be, this group. So that's kind of a broad summary, but if you have any questions about anything, feel free to ask.
Yeah, I want to ask real quick, if either one of you know what's in it for Lou to hook up with this guy. Why even do this? Because I don't think it's working. I mean, we're all still here. They yelled at us, right? So,
well, but also to that point too, there's a fair amount of people that aren't here anymore, right? We could look at UFO Jane, and people like, she wasn't just a podcaster. She had some really like actual research about like Texas. She was low-key like the Ashton of Texas UFOs, right? And now she's just totally burnt out. And same with the rest of the UCR co-host. And you see also people just become bitter, right? And like angry, it kind of seems like Jimenez and Greenstreet and Goof on. So it just fosters this environment that I feel like is not the kind of environment we want to be inviting people into.
Yeah.
Or fosters like healthy debate and discussion about a topic that we want like truth on. You know what I mean?
I think King Milkfart's here in the chat room because I seen King_Milkfart in there. So
maybe after a while, if he wants to hop on, I have no problem with that. But I think we should do a segment maybe without him first, and then I have no issues.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes, though. We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm on your side with that. I don't think we should have him on the first show, but if we have to, we will. I'm not saying there's gonna be like 10 of these, or maybe just 2 or 1. So,
or even at the end of this episode, I could be down. But I think we should, because he has a tendency to derail things. So we definitely want to have a Tupa knows.
I did say he can DM me a statement. So if he has anything he wants us to state, I can do that.
Or he can just type all caps in the chat room if he wants us to see it.
Actually,
and
that's
since he's there and
easiest.
listening, I want to say, King Milkfart, I still, even though you hate me, I have empathy for you. You are being used to do things that are illegal, that the people telling you to do them don't want to do because they know it's illegal. So you're like literally a patsy for these people. And I think your emotions are getting worked up in ways that they wouldn't otherwise be, and it's not healthy for anyone for you to exist in this state of like permanently doxing and this villain. You know what I mean?
How did this all start? Like, who was it that started this attack UFO hate group? Do you know?
In my opinion, honestly, I think it's Lou Elizondo. I mean, he said, you have the clip, I don't know if you have it ready, where he was like, I'm a counterterrorism, counterinsurgency guy. You want to just maybe play it real quick?
I'll play it. Yeah, it's right here. Here we go. Let me bring it up. This is the clip I play every show just about. Hold on, here it comes. Looks like... Shut up, Rich. Hold on, here it is. Here we go, we're realigning.
Left the Department of Defense, ironically enough, to finish the very mission they gave me in the first place. I didn't ask for it. I'm not a UFO guy, not a ufologist. I never have been, I never will be. I'm a counterterrorism and counterespionage guy. I do counterintelligence, counterinsurgencies. That's what I do. And it just so happens that in 2008, I was asked to apply those same skill sets into the UFO
community. There you go.
Kind of fishy statement. So from my assessment of that, and like I said, I think a lot of it probably started with pure intentions, and I do think Lou Elizondo has actually done a lot of really good things for quote unquote like UFO disclosure and being able to talk about it. But I think like his counterinsurgency thing was like like it was a grassroots political activism thing, which has good elements, right? Like the big phone home and stuff like that. Him going on shows isn't necessarily a bad thing. But like I said, I think just over time they adopted this really like militaristic, and they even view themselves as that. They call themselves revolutionaries. They've even, believe it or not, they've actually written books about it because they've been so like gassed up that what they're doing is the right thing. That's Adam Goldsack, who was Andreas Freeman back in the day.
Okay.
But yeah, it's narrative control. This is what I tell people too. Like, it's not drama, it's narrative control. It's the exact same thing they've been doing since the 40s to discredit people. They'll make up lies. And to be clear for the room, like, this isn't just like light trolling. Like, they literally falsely accuse people of rape. They swat people. They try and get people's kids taken away by sending lies to the CPS. Just like over the top stuff just to make people go away. And I just don't want to live or exist in this environment. And I also want to give kudos to the people who do call it out, like Lou Jimenez, even though he might not like me right now, but Black Vault calls it out. Jeremy McGowan, you know, a lot of people who, and because they call it out, they get it extra hard.
King Milkfart does have a statement he sent to Alien Girl, so you can read that whenever you get it, Amy.
Okay.
But,
just checking the
he said he sent you and who's RPK? Oh, that's you. Okay, Red Panda Koala, I see. Yeah.
Well, I definitely agree with Red Panda's timeline there. I think we stumbled upon something here that works as almost like an immune system for the traditional disclosure process or the official disclosure process. You can watch as many interviews you want of Lou and make your own determination on what kind of person he is, or how sensitive he would be, or how motivated he would be to control the narrative to this degree, to chase down random, housewives that are online because they criticize or said this or that, is kind of an extreme thing. And you wouldn't expect it to happen. And you also wouldn't expect to find the people that were doing it actively in other chats and in other posts, kind of like pledging allegiance to Lou and describing themselves as his kind of his self-appointed security team. Their motivations are clear. They make it clear in every post. Something that Red said a while ago was like, this is not 1950s anymore. Like, all this stuff is recorded, and even then you get nonstop denial until you post a photograph of, or a screenshot or clear evidence of, oh, this is that person doing this from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different accounts. This is, then they'll be in a, in a group. You ask yourself, like, why would they spend so much time denying something that was provable through just scrolling back in time, right? And the only thing you could really the only thing I came across that was similar, was these type of smear campaigns by these very like cult-like groups, like Scientology, right? Like these like very calculated, directed smear campaigns to just cloud somebody with a ton of different accusations, make sure you find where they work, what they do, you know what I mean? Get them in all different types of public forums and make sure you get them to just shut up about whatever they were talking about, remove them from the conversation, and then move on. And, there's a lot of different dissenting and ideas, I think, in UFO Twitter. It's an open forum.
Are people getting paid to do this for him, or is it just the brethren of the military personnel that he finds and like-minded people?
It's a really good question. I mean, not only are they finding, veterans and people who seem to be like kind of at risk, like maybe mentally or emotionally, but like they're also, picking people who are like thirsting for that disclosure, right? Who feel like it's like very, very extreme. The stakes are so high for them. When you see them talk, I say them, I mean this specific group. When you see them talk, when you hear them, mention this stuff, they sound like, oh, time is running out. Like they sound very much like, they're worked up and they believe something's coming. It's weird.
Time's always running out, man. That's time for you.
For sure.
But it's interesting. So nobody really gets monetary. They just get to feel like they're taking orders again.
Well, there's that, but I also do think there is I think there actually probably is a straight up monetary, probably through crypto, but there is kind of a monetary thing in access, right? Like if you don't ever speak out about this stuff and you just act like it's not happening, you're going to get Elizondo and company on your show. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what you saw during that's what you saw during the podcast purge or whatever, right? Where they were just like, beheading podcasts left and right. They were basically denying certain ones access. And there was like, this guy's supposed to be on other people's show. Then all of a sudden, nope, that's cut out, right? And then they report, I remember hearing things around that time, like, canceling, like, podcast appearances, but then you still see them pop up on the ones that play ball, right? And then the most interesting thing is that you hear or you see direct DMs from people within this group using their access as a threat, saying, hey, if you associate with Tupa, then you're not going to be able to get access to people like Chris Wolford, right? People like Gary Nolan. And these are people that are ingrained in this exact same group. King Milkfart's friends, wife. I mean, these are like, you figure out how closely tied everybody is in that group. It's very interesting. But yeah, the access game is definitely huge, because if you get, if you're getting a big name, you're going to be getting super chats. You're going to be getting more views on your show. So it maybe it pays for itself.
I hear you. Yeah, that's true. It does help them. Yeah, you're right. I didn't think of it that way, but I guess that's what it comes down to in the end. Lou's helping them grow by going on their little shows, and then they become big shows. Yeah, it's amazing. And we saw that with Lou Jimenez, because he was on there, 7 or 8 times.
Basically, there was a fresh crop of shows, right, that popped up after 2017 that all kind of started at zero. And through this filtering process of like access and harassment of others, it's really set the landscape of what the everyday normie will see when they go on iTunes or YouTube and just like look for a show, right? So it does have its effects over time. And I do think that was intentional. And I do think that could have been done even like intentionally and not bad. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, don't be on people who are like total assholes to you. But like I said, they did adopt these characteristics along the way that are dangerous, frankly. So, yeah.
Do you know what pitch Lou uses? Like, have you heard what he says to try to recruit these guys? Like, is it something like, you know what I mean?
Really great point, because I have up here, and I figured it'd be good to listen to with the audience too. So this is the infamous Gary Testimonies, and Gary was the producer on Disclosure Tonight, and he was basically one of these vulnerable people. By his own words, he was suicidal, and he was told that Lou told him, he says that Lou told him he would help him with his issues if he helped him. And this was during the whole Who's Lou thing. So for the audience, about a year and a half ago now, Manny 503 released a documentary called Who's Lou, and basically anybody who even engaged with it got like blacklisted and targeted, right? Yeah. You weren't supposed to platform this, because it kind of questioned Lou Elizondo's timelines with certain things, right? Some things we're checking out, which we have seen more and more happening. And so Gary was the producer of Disclosure Tonight, and he basically, here's his testimonies. Let me see. Where are we at? Well, 1 second.
Yeah, I just think it's really interesting how this probably started, where it's at now. I'm lost a little bit. That's why I'm glad you're here, because now I'm getting to see some and hear some things that make sense to me in the timeline of it. So I appreciate that input. But now, other than a big name like Lou, is there anybody else with a big name in these factions, or what?
There kind of is. And here, let me just play these testimonies real quick.
Oh, got it? Okay, yeah. Good deal.
I got it ready to go, yeah.
All right, we'll get
there
back
is
to
a
that.
cult of Lou. And sadly, I was a part of it for a while, doing things and saying things I shouldn't have done. When I stepped back from it and started applying logic instead of blindly following, I noticed a lot of new things. I also know what is going on behind the scenes. There is more to this than meets the eye. Casually placed people in certain social media areas, controlling various things, and to make sure the die-hard followers react to create disorder and chaos. And the same the other way, talking to you privately, making you feel like you are doing the right thing, being promised stuff that never happens, and the second you question something, you are booted out. There is a few people working on behalf of Lue on UFO Twitter at the moment, whose, quote, job it is to make sure we keep fighting. It worked on me for a while. I'm glad to be out of it. It's too nasty and viscous and calculated. Another angle they use is recruiting veterans, because it's so frowned upon to call out veterans so people don't question anything. It's all a club. Again, thank you, John, for all your hard work on this.
Gary's email to...
So that was a comment to John Greenwald during the thing where I said Tupa like stood up for him during that big campaign. So I think because normal people, this isn't normal behavior. And I want to commend Gary for the bravery he showed at that time to post these testimonies. And then here's an email he sent to Lou Jimenez around the same time, who is also getting targeted.
That's Gary
Lou-
Ack, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Angeles reads.
Hi, Lou. This is Gary. Ack. I know we have had our arguments in the past, but I have to tell you something. I was overhearing a conversation between Rob Heatherly and Lou Elizondo. They didn't know I was there, and they were both on a mission to bring down various YouTube channels. It was at this point I lost faith in Lou and realized I had been a pawn in his game. Being promised things, I was having trouble with another community destroying my life and pushing me to the brink of suicide many times. I was told they would sort my issues if I helped them. I'm an idiot, so I believed it, hoping that I would get closure on what had happened to me before. Turns out that was a total lie. Thomas was also promised bullshit things from Lou too that never panned out after being asked to go out and, quote, defend him and his family. Thomas won't reveal any of this because Rob has caused enough shit already, but I want you to know that Richard Butt was discussed too. And I did the thing that was very untrustworthy, something I shouldn't have done, but I did as I didn't trust him. I recorded those conversations. I have those conversations still on my computer. I'm unsure what to do about them. They will know it's me if it leaks out, but it also shows that you are absolutely correct on your recent show. They have been using us all to turn against each other, and it has worked. You'll notice we separated as far from Rob as possible. He was looking people up, calling local authorities, and asking Lue to gather information on you all. I can't be around that shit.
So yeah, that's pretty wild to hear, right?
I remember that. Yeah, that's crazy. That guy was in the thick of it on wasn't that Fessler's channel? Disclosure tonight.
Yeah.
He got all upset about what was going on. He couldn't handle it anymore, so he did that.
Well,
right?
It seems awful. Honestly,
it does awful. Yeah.
Like the idea, like 20 some odd confirmed sock puppet accounts, upwards of like 60 known, accounts. Like these are identical. And all they do is they pop up in a chat and they'll just say stuff like, I'm unsubscribing. This doesn't make any sense. This is crazy. These guys are, that's all they do. Like, I couldn't imagine spilling all that, you know what I mean? All the time, 24/7. It's pathological. It's very strange.
It is. I don't want to say anything else about that, but yeah, it's a little bit mental. Amy, do you have that DM from King Milkfart? She's got a question.
I do.
Or he does. He does.
I do have the DM.
Is it readable?
However, this is a moment I do like to control because I do need another statement. But I told him I would paraphrase it. And the reason is actually kind of comes around this cycle. And I really want to hone in on what Red Panda was saying back about the constant attacks on other people. The best way to get people to stop looking at you is to make them look at other people. So that being said, I'm going to paraphrase this because we have beautiful guests who are on and we love you both so much. And thank you so much for taking the time to come and hang out with us. I'm not going to read the whole explicit message because honestly, it kind of made me uncomfortable.
Do you want me to read it then? You want me to read it?
I don't want this whole chat to churn wild, dude.
Yes, we do.
That's what it was.
Yes, we do.
All right, then I'll.
Why would we hide anything? We don't hide stuff here and play that. Oh, we're just going to give you a little bit. Just tell us what he said.
Truthology and ufology.
That's it.
Right,
Perfectly said.
Okay, I'm putting it in the private chat. You can say it, Rich.
No, don't. Oh, you're putting it in the private chat? Thank you. Here it is.
Yeah.
Let me see real quick. Oh, you can read this. All right, here we go. Chupacabra.com for all the proof you will ever need of Chupacabra being a demonstrable anti-Semite. Chupacabra.com. He is a convicted thief and proven homophobic anti-Semite. Me too. We got a lot in common. No one doxed Tupa. Tupa, however, doxed my entire family and tweeted a photo of my mother. RPK is a Tupa's schizophrenic boyfriend with amphetamine-induced psychosis. it says ensued, but I'm sure that's wrong. Ask any one of them for even one example of me ever sexualizing children or doxing and harassing women and veterans. Has he?
Yes, and we can play examples of that if you want to. Yes,
I definitely want to.
And
Not
I think
because...
we had somebody in the chat say she had been, so.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. His,
and on Jolly too, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Angela is also here.
And Jolly's here. She stated she left a comment earlier about why she's here.
Oh, okay. Wow, what happened? Do you remember?
Yeah, what was her comment? She said, good evening, all, and good to see you, Angeli, by the way. I'm here tonight because of the personal threats KMF made against my family and my professional reputation after I came forward with my experience and knowledge. This is a common complaint. This isn't a one-off. You know, we're not here talking about 2 or 3 people who got bullied. You know what I mean? This is the MO, right? It goes on and on.
Hundreds of people targeted.
Wow, that is a lot, man. I didn't think the field was getting that big. My God.
Well, because they also go after their fans, right? And like random people who don't really have a platform, private citizens. And I also want to send love to Anjali. Well, I know she's going through cancer and stuff. So
yeah, like
positive vibes.
Absolutely.
Nice. Yeah,
and with this thing, I mean, the idea is to demonize the target so much as to excuse any and all behavior and action taken against them. In this case, it's clear criminal harassment, it's stalking, it's all these weird, creepy things that are provable. So the only step has to be, well, I did all those things because he's X and he's Y. And it's pure cancel culture bullcrap. I mean, this is the strangest part about this, I think, and the most dangerous aspect of it is to encourage a community to commit crimes against each other because of personal disputes, right? And then to allow it to happen. Because if you talk about it too much, it's slowing down disclosure. If you talk about it too much, it's, you know what I mean? It's drama. So it's a very interesting thing, like, you know, how communities kind of react to these types of, environments and what kind of is spewing. And the issue is the reason why this is able to take hold and continue is because it does have a top-down essence to it. Right. It's not just this one rogue person going around, you know what I mean, doing all this random stuff. He's suddenly, suspended, then followed by Lou, right? Then retweeted, then quotes, has the same exact post as Matt Ford, right? Exact same word, right? They're part of the same kind of machine is what it looks like. And this idea, the continued denial until proof is shown. And then it becomes, what was KMF? What did he say one time? I never did. What he did was he posted somebody's a picture of somebody making it look like they had an OnlyFans account. He denied ever doing that. The victim of this person, the victim is a female ufologist on Twitter. So it was a public post. I mean, that's a horrifying thing to do to somebody. Quickly, sure enough, he deleted it, then denied he ever did it. She had to post an image of it just so he could accept that he did it in a live space. She's like,
and it was the same day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Hey,
coming up here.
It was awful. It was an awful thing to make her do, to relive, just so he could say, that. Yeah, I remember. I think I remember. It was so slimy and snaky. It's like, dude, if you're standing up for righteousness here, stand up for it. Or are we allowing people to basically, be the worst and treat each other the worst, and then to ramp up a bunch of like propaganda almost, just to make sure that the community doesn't respond to it. It's a very strange thing to do, in my opinion.
So, King Milkfart, also, when you said you had the receipts, I guess, can we listen to some of those or
let's
whatever
listen to those too? And before I pull this up, I just want to reiterate that or say that this wasn't always the case. Like John Greenwald, who's been at this since the 90s, has said like this really started after 2017. You know what I mean? And it doesn't always have to be the case either. You know what I mean? We don't just have to accept this. So here's him doxing a PTSD Navy veteran's kid, or admitting to it. Her name's B. She's a really sweet lady, and she was targeted because she didn't go along with the Chupacabra cancellation. And so here's some audio of that.
King Milkfart confesses that he has fed information and that he doxed Beverly's child.
Sure, just FYI, she's the one behind that image, though.
You know what? I've had just about enough of your false accusations. I really have. I have sat here and watched you attack everybody in the community that were friends or acquaintances or just in the way of your hate tirade.
Yeah, you can go fuck yourself, you crazy bitch.
No, sir. It's called.
Wait, Milkfart. we are trying to have a civil discussion, and what you said was very wrong. Okay, you can't.
No, but she's out of her mind.
No,
I don't know what she's saying.
No, Joseph, I am a PTSD disabled veteran. Brought up my son's name.
Whoa! I thought I had.
Brought up my underage child's name.
I thought I had 2 minutes. Yeah, B's a crazy woman. Yeah, she's just out of her mind. Oh, what'd you say? I did something about your son? No. Someone told me to ask you how's Cody? Is that what you're referring to? I don't know who the fuck Cody is. Someone just told me to ask you that.
That's my underage son.
Okay, news to me. Whatever.
That's actually not open. That's wrong.
So there's one, and before we continue, I just want to also commend.
Why would someone tell him to do that?
Yeah, that's another element of this whole thing. He's fed information about people, so he's doing it on behalf.
Well,
of
that information's not on the surface. You have to dig for the information of someone's kid's name. I've known B for a long time. I never knew her kid's name. This is the first I heard. You know what I mean?
They also mentioned the middle school too.
So it's not just this dude. KMF just confirmed it's not just him. Someone else took it upon themselves to do this digging, and then they provided that to him. That's what he just said. So it's a very strange thing to do. And then the tone in which it was applied, right? Just ask him. Ask her how's Cody doing? Is that a friendly? You know what I mean? Hey, heads up! You know your kid's name is out there, or is that a veiled threat?
And that's in the midst of like other attacks too, right? Like, yeah. And I just want to commend B and Ocean and a lot of these other people have been targeted, because a lot of people who get targeted are literally traumatized and like don't even want anything like out there even showing examples. And because these women and like me and Tupa and some other people have been willing to like publicly talk about and show what has happened to us, we end up getting targeted extra hard because they don't like that, right? They want everyone to be timid and afraid to talk about their stories. And there, like I said, there's hundreds of people who have been targeted by this group since 2017, and there's not hundreds of people who speak out about it because they're traumatized, literally. And it would be better, right? And I told you guys this, like if everyone in the UFO community who made a public post about Ashton's DMs made a public post and like was in unison against this kind of behavior, it'd be over overnight.
Hold on, I want to respond real quick. KMF said LMFAO, no one said anything about any kid. I have several posts I'm looking at right now where he took photographs of my underage nephews and nieces, posted pictures of them, commented their names under posts that I did, saying, you know, this is what he's doing. He created accounts with the faces of children and then use those accounts to comment on my own posts with those children's names. In one instance, a child is holding a certificate. My nephew's holding a certificate with a bunch of private information on it, location, name, all of that stuff. So and most of them, they're with their parents. My brother's been getting photographs of his house texted to him. This is not normal.
They hacked Chupacabra's mom's Facebook and posted that she died. And so for like a day and a half, he was getting calls from like all of his extended family saying like, is your mom okay? Like what happened?
As this is coming in, I want you to know I got another statement from King Milkfart by a DM that I think is decent, and I'd love to read it.
All right.
Can I guess? Can I guess before you show it or read it?
Sure.
Is it saying lies, show receipts? These guys never show receipts.
It's kind of his time to shine, and I feel like you guys can trust me for a filter.
Yeah, for sure. No, not filter. I just wanted to make some predictions. But go ahead.
Yeah.
Because I know, like, we're all triggered real easy, right? So I'm trying to flow into this, and I feel like King Milkfart's cool. We got this DM going. Chill. Right. Okay, so here's what it says. It says all accusations are flat up made up. They're all horseshit. I don't even know Lou Elizondo. I quite literally never met him.
Wow, that's interesting. So why did he become friends on that page or his thing?
Twice, right? Not just
twice.
Yeah, and immediately after his account was banned for harassment and whatnot, and after he's been told multiple times by multiple people of this behavior. You know what I mean?
You know what's funny? He says everything's a lie, but yet we've got testimonies from people and evidence right in front of us that says the opposite.
And in the chat that we didn't expect to get. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I know. Yeah, this is good, man. It's a little good exposure right there. So I appreciate that. Thanks for in pouring all this. Amy, that was it. Just those two sentences, basically, huh?
Yeah.
Anything else?
Well, because he kind of wrote back the first one that you read, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I should say all that, right? And then
Sure.
no, that was it. And I said, hey, just my question back was, do you have a statement about the accusations being made about you? Because his first statement was accusations
About
to our
me?
guests, to
Oh,
everyone.
yeah, about you.
And so I was like, okay, I understand that. So I would want to know, like, what does he have to say about the accusations towards him? Because that's also a perspective we have to take in. And that was his response. All the accusations are flat put made up. They are horseshit. I don't even know Lou Elizondo. Quite literally never met him.
It's because that's hilarious because Tupa is not my boyfriend, and I don't do meth, right? And he just came out the gate with that against us, right? Like, so.
It's a way to consolidate and get people to not actually look at things in some ways. Like it's a really great way. The best example I honestly can think is some of the stuff that happens with big names that get blacklisted. They get kicked off of, like, Alex Jones. A lot of different people get kicked off of multiple platforms because they did something. So we could say it one of two ways. We're going to do one of two ways. One, they're awful, horrible people and they've been banned on everything. Or maybe they're not, and things have just been, a mountain of evidence has just been put up and so many accusations that they've managed to get their voice out of the community. And so that's not just something that's like on a micro level, which is weird because we're pretty big, right? Like not like a big UFO network, but I mean, we all feel so close to it, right? And we all really are close to it. I mean, we're a couple people from this person or that person really in this small yeah, and so I don't know. It's just it's all very shocking. It's a little overwhelming. But what I think we need to focus on is purging all of this out on some level. And also being able to identify, like, what's an insult? Like, are we actually getting somewhere? Is it really getting somewhere when we're calling somebody schizophrenic? Are we really getting somewhere when we're insulting each other left and right? There's like legitimate questions that sound realistic, like, hey, like, do you have schizophrenia? Versus like, you're schizophrenic. Like it's an insult. Like, let's take away the insults. Let's take away, like, really get to the root of what you want to say. And I was really impressed with the response I got. Like, that's not what I told him, but he came back and he said, hey, I've never met Lou Elizondo. Like, let's just be straight up. If we're straight up, like, and I just feel like there's all this stuff being said about everybody, and this person's that, and that person's that way. And I've actually just in the past, since we've all been talking, I just learned something that I was wrong about that I thought was right in terms of all this drama. Like, I thought something was real that was actually fake because of all the stuff that's put out on the internet. Anyway, so I'm having fun back here, but that's what's going on.
What revelation have you had?
What revelation have I had?
Yeah, in terms of the fake. What's fake now? You don't have to talk about. I was just curious, like the.
Oh, not fake. Not that I didn't think it was fake. That's probably the wrong word. I guess you could say I thought, gosh, I can't just out and say it.
No, don't worry about it. I think I agree with your sentiment, though.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
like
there's a lot of noise going on, and it'd be best when everybody's kind of chill and working together. You know what I mean?
Well, it's the same when somebody's like, that person's racist, this person's that, this person's that. It's like, I don't think that's legit. Right?
Well, those terms are being weaponized in cancel culture. So, when you see them being weaponized, that's when it devalues the actual, you know what I mean? That's when it becomes an issue. And so that's the thing is, like, no community is great when there's cancel culture kind of going around, right? That's the kind of an insidious little cancer that forms within communities due to, people creating false hierarchies of power, a false power structure, right? Like, a community is a community. We're all doing our own research and living our own lives. Why do we have to be beholden, right, to a hierarchy of ideas and systems? You know what I mean? It doesn't really make a lot of sense. Whatever, though, if it's strong enough, it'll do it on its own, right? If Lou's crew, right, is attracting enough attention and doing their job right, then so be it. But it's when negative actions kind of start to kind of prop up, and you're like, okay, what is this?
Also, I want to just add to, like, this group would be going a lot harder if we weren't calling it out. And I get people are like, but no one's forcing you to watch this or pay attention. If you want to act like it's not happening and call yourself a ufologist, like, by all means, go for it. But also, this group went after Grush. Like, let's be real. Like, it matters, and this is what they've done. And my whole beat, even on before this shit, was covering, like, intelligence community infiltration, like, historically, of media and scientists and, like, how people get targeted and whatnot.
How did this group go after Grush? I don't know if that's very well known.
Yeah, so I have some
Yeah, I
audio
didn't know.
here.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like when he first came out, or
Right
just
before
recently?
he came out. Right before he came out, Sawan, who is one of these characters that's like in KMF's little crew there, he was trying to dox and harass him. And actually, let me see too. Even Leslie Keane talked about it on the New York Times podcast about specifically UFO Twitter. So here, and look at there. Here's another thing where, right, like mentally unstable people are put up to do things by other people and like fed information. So here's him kind of talking about. He's asked about why he did that, and just to be clear, he was like saying like we're going to flesh out this whistleblower David Grush before his name was public. He was calling him a cockroach, which is another common thing that they do, like very kind of like demeaning language. Yeah.
Closure. Mike told Sawan to go after David Grush.
I got a question for Swan. Why did you go against Grush early on before he went public? Someone told you that he was a disinfo agent. Who told you he was a disinfo agent?
First of all, then that's why I stopped following Mike, because Mike tried to put me on to try to oust Grush because
not me, Mike.
Okay,
which Mike?
Which Mike are you talking about, Swan? Disclosure Mike? And he did say disclosure Mike.
Yeah, that must be it.
The same disclosure Mike that found out all that random. And then let's play this too. Here's Sean Kirkpatrick, who's talked about this exact same group, and Swan's taking credit for it multiple times, like what he's faced. They talked about, like, for people who are like, oh, this doesn't matter, this is just drama. They talked about it at NASA's first ever UFO hearing. They've talked about it multiple times since then. They talked about it at NASA's second ever UFO hearing. Here's Sean Kirkpatrick like a week ago talking about it at the Hayden Center, which is Michael Hayden's think tank, who's a former CIA director. And the Hayden Center liked this post, by the way. So, like, this shit matters. And if you don't want, like, nobody's forcing you to watch it if you don't want to watch.
Sean Kirkpatrick describes the harassment he has received from the UFO hate group.
A persistent question has to do with a senior technical advisory group that you must have stood up that is helping advise the work you do. So they're just questions about that group. What is it made up of? Are these people from outside government? Is this that academic and scientific community you just referenced?
So it's a strategic technical advisory group. They don't like to be called senior. And they actually do work. They're the review board for, the analytic framework consists of multiple layers of review, and they're one of the layers of review. We don't give out names and identities of anybody associated with this office other than me and a handful of very specific people, because of the fact that the harassment and the threats that are attendant to our ability to do this job. And I know we had the same problem with the NASA panel. I'm not going to subject my team to that. I have some of the best professionals on the face of the planet working some of this. But I'm not going to subject them or their families to that kind of harassment that is making our job a lot harder. I've had people try to dig up information on my wife, my child, where I live, make threats, send harassments. Just, that's not called for.
And what is the claim? Is the claim that you're evil because you haven't said what they want you to say about the sources of these anomalous sightings?
That's a great way of saying it, but I would put it a different way, right? I told everybody when we stood up, I would follow the data wherever it led. Mm-hmm. That means you have to follow the data and the evidence where it leads. If you don't like where it leads, don't call me a liar and then come after me. This is evidentiary scientific methodology and intelligence tradecraft.
All right, so you guys could talk for a bit while I try and find Leslie.
Well, that's also what Nadia Drake said. Nadia Drake, right, which is the granddaughter, I think,
I'll pull that one too.
The Drake equation guy. She was asked in the UFO podcast by the host, what's up with this harassment that got mentioned at the NASA hearing? Like, what are you talking about, and where is it coming from? She said it's coming from UFO Twitter. It's coming from Twitter. And it's because, and she basically stated the exact same thing that Kirk said, like, following the science doesn't lead me to those conclusions that they're talking about. And here come the personal attacks. And, hearing Kirkpatrick, say it, right? And then now one of the interesting aspects of this is like, you hear him complain about it and call attention to it. And then it becomes vilified by the community. He's now in the way of disclosure, right? These things come up where they're targeted, and then that it's not just a little private target. Like, the community did not participate in trying to figure out where Kirkpatrick lives. I strongly doubt that, right? But they do take part in kind of allowing it to become just background noise, because it adds, they were told that he's now in the way of disclosure. It just kind of it's one of those aspects.
Hey, Tupa, earlier King Milkfart was wondering what you meant by there is no evidence to suggest the elders of the protocols of Zion are fake.
So there's a lot of things that King Milkfart likes to quote out of context from an old Discord group I was in, like, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. These are not comments I made on Twitter. These are not comments he could pull from any space. There's no instance of me being rude or anything like that with anybody in spaces. So he continues to ask that question because he believes that by me having conversations or having ideas or posing questions in any type of way, that's what's going to excuse this type of behavior. Again, this is documented, targeted harassment that goes into the realm of criminal, that involves all kinds of false allegations and, obviously things like that. So he has to find a way to excuse it. So for him, harassment's okay if this guy made an off-color comment about a book. Like,
it's really strange, but I want to ask an important question. Has anybody ever offed themselves because of this?
So I've heard rumors of that, but actually one of the previous attack dogs of this group is Christopher Gray, who ended up murdering his dad. And I'm not implicating anyone, but this was about 2021, and he was involved in the taking down of Deep Prasad and a few of other people. Like I said, this has been going on. It's systemic. It's been going on for years. And I'm not saying it's anyone's fault, but when you get these mentally unstable people worked up to do things they wouldn't otherwise do, I think it adds to a general instability that probably contributed. And people were doxxed and harassed on UFO Twitter for even talking about this murder.
Well, and I came into the scene, I guess, like afterwards. I remember there was a specific account, I won't name names here, but who tried to bring it up in a spaces, right? Who tried to bring it up and talk about it. And she was highlighting that it was a no subject for the community because it didn't implicate anybody. It just was an inconvenience. Like, it was something that, like, and I couldn't figure out why at the time, but I could tell that it was almost viewed as drama. Whenever she'd bring it up, people would always kind of shut it down. And there's a spaces where it's recorded where you could find, and that's what I did. I was like, oh, let's change the subject. You know what I mean? Because I thought there was nothing to it. And then later on, discovering a little bit how much deeper this goes with people like Deep Prasad and their interactions with this particular person and the label they gave him. He was described almost as like one of the early KMFs, which was scary, right? The idea that, like, he was doing the same exact thing, this motivated, targeted, very, very, very directed kind of hate campaigns. And it clearly didn't do this guy any favors. Obviously, we can't make any correlations between anything, but it doesn't seem that it put him in a good headspace at all. It didn't seem like it was helping him. So it's an awful thing. But yeah, it's also one of those things that's hush hush. So that's an interesting aspect of it too.
Yeah. And I got 2 clips here, and I want to reiterate for the people who are like, stop talking about this. Like, we're hearing people at NASA talk about it. This element of the community is actively preventing disclosure, in my opinion. Like, would you guys feel comfortable inviting your friends and family into UFO Twitter?
No way.
No, right?
No. When I see people post pictures of their family and their kids and stuff, I'm like, oh shit. Sorry, but like, it's like, I hope you don't rub anybody the wrong way.
And so, yeah, that's the point. Like, they went after Grush. Here's Leslie Keene, who broke the article. So if you're somebody who has a blue ribbon, I was standing with Grush before any of you guys were. And she's talking about specifically UFO Twitter. And I'm pretty sure she's talking about Salon, because we heard Salon say he was told to go after Grush. Let's see.
Out quickly. And we did go to Politico. Politico was interested in it, but they couldn't get it out as quickly as we felt it had to come out. And so that's why we went to a publication called The Debrief, because they were able to turn the story around quickly.
Threatening phone calls from whom, of what sort?
He didn't even know who they were from. He doesn't answer them. There were also hostile actors out in the UFO community who were calling him. And, there's a nasty Twitterverse out there. I don't know if you don't know about it, Ezra, you're lucky. Because there's just it's a very contentious arena out there of people who are involved with this topic, and they will sometimes try to cause harm to people, like Grush. And so I think
so there's that, right? So if you're somebody who's in the audience who's like, damn, I wish we had more whistleblowers, like, this is why, like, they know how they get treated. This is part of it. And you know what I mean? And then here's the other clip I had pulled up. Here's Nadia Drake, the daughter of Frank Drake, who made the Drake equation.
Yeah.
She was on the NASA panel, and she's asked about it, and she specifies UFO Twitter.
Wow.
NASA panelist Dr. Nadia Drake speaks on UFO Twitter harassment.
We'll fast forward to the point where we had the NASA live broadcast a couple of weeks ago as we record this now.
Hello, good morning, and welcome. My name is Dan Evans, and as the designated federal official for NASA's Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena Independent Study Team, I'd like to call this meeting to order and introduce the panelists. In the back row, we have Nadia Drake.
The first speaker will be Dr. Nadia Drake.
I'm Nadia. I am a scientist by training. I'm also a science journalist now, and my job is to try and synthesize the information that we've learned so far.
Disappointingly, though, but not unsurprisingly, it opened with a mention of the abuse that had been aimed at the panel.
It's disheartening to note that several of them have been subjected to online abuse due to their decision to participate on this panel.
I really do want to double down on Dan's words, that it is really disheartening to hear of the harassment that our panelists have faced online, all because they're studying this topic.
My team and I have also been subject to lots of harassment, especially coming out of my last hearing.
And I'd like to ask, though, where was the abuse coming from? Did it seem to come from the UFO community? Was it scientific community? Just your standard online troll?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think what I can say, and I don't want to violate anyone's privacy, is that there were criticisms coming from within the science community, really just questioning why people were spending their time on this. I had made that comment before. But I think what NASA was referring to in those statements were harassment and abuse coming from UFO Twitter in particular has been very loud and very angry with a couple of us, not just me. I know that I have definitely been a target for a lot of it. And so, yeah, it's been coming from a couple of different areas.
So yeah, like I said, this is not drama. This is actively hampering disclosure efforts.
Yep.
And if you're somebody who calls it drama, I really don't even respect you, to be honest, because you're unable to look and see what's really going on in a field that's historically been riddled with this exact thing. You know what I mean?
I mean, sometimes drama is a buzzword or a descriptor that makes sense in a conversation, but I think sometimes it is used to kind of pat down the extreme parts of it, right? And then hearing someone referred to as drama, and then trying to give me advice on how to deal with it is a thing, but it happens often, I think. And really, as a community, as a researcher, you really don't want to know this thing exists, right? Because it does exist within the structure of disclosure, believe it or not. And that's what I'm seeing anyway. That's my opinion.
Could this be in a? Oh, go ahead, Amy. You first. I'll remember.
Yeah, and we got another message from King Milkfart too. My big question is how much of this is psyops? Because that's the thing for me.
I was just going to say that.
There's always, of course, right? You're right. We're always in sync. Wow. You guys, we never planned it for his show to go at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard and mine to go at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time too, by the way. Totally. But how much of this is psyops? How much of this active engagement in psyops is happening within our community? That's really what drove me to this, because there's tons of drama. Sure, people fight here.
Sure, absolutely.
Drama. But you're right. The word dramatic is making us think that it's something we can dismiss. Oh, don't listen to her. She's dramatic, right? That's what we're practicing. So
she overreacts, drama.
And so I tend to be like, okay, if it's drama, but this caught my attention because it kept coming up, and it's like year after year after year. Right? You laid out the whole breakdown, like it seems coordinated. That's what's creepy. It seems coordinated over a 3.5 year period, 4.5. It seems like it's a coordinated attack on specific people who they want to silence. So this isn't everybody's like, let King Milk fart. This isn't all about King Milk fart. This is about
Right.
silencing voices because people are engaging in cancel culture and getting into these situations where they're overemphasizing things that they hear about people to try to put them in a box and get people to stop following them, stop listening to their voice, don't listen to them because they're dramatic, right? Or whatever.
And it's not just that. They're threatening their families. They're doxing, swatting them. They're trying to get people fired from jobs. And I'll just read this real quick. Here's the Wikipedia definition of psychological operations pertaining to America. Psychological operations are operations to convey selected information and indicators to audiences to influence their motives and objective reasoning, and ultimately the behavior of governments, organizations, groups, and large foreign powers. And I think that's a very clear example of like what's actually going on. Like there's certain things you can't say or certain people you can't question. And the second you do, you literally get targeted by this mob of people who are unhinged and do like the most out of pocket things.
Well, one of the things too is you get talking about the what, like what did he do next? What did he do next? People forget to ask themselves why. Why did he do this? Why has this been going on for so long? And I think that's one of the benefits of continuing to act in an erratic, kind of unhealthy, crazy way, is it keeps on acting as a distraction that it's all coming from one person. But we really do have to start asking ourselves this question, which is why? And we've referred to it, narrative control and stuff, but this is the important part. Like, why would someone like that, who's so permanently toxic, right, be followed, liked, replied to, within this inner circle of where we're getting our disclosure efforts from? I think it's a very strange thing. And then that's going to give us.
Why do you think Elizondo refollowed his new account?
Just to be like, that's kind of the vibe. But like, that's what I said. I'm boxing it into this category. But when you look at the patterns, and I'm sure other people in the chat are at this point where they're like, I've seen the patterns. It seems coordinated. And so that for me was weird. Because one, I thought because of Twitter, like there's just all sorts of, I just thought that was really weird. Like this was Lou Elizondo could have been like, well, that's just one of those trolls. He did some nasty things to people. That wasn't cool. And I'll just forget about him. But he followed him immediately. It was like he found his account. He knew he created an account. Rich has had a couple different accounts. It took me a while to find the second one or whatever, or other people, and it's so like, it's very strange to me.
Great point.
Yeah, that he followed him right afterwards. Like, I don't understand the support. And that's the thing. It's like, if we shake down the fact that it's not all about King Milfart or anybody else, it's not. Like, this is a topic, this is a theme, this is something that's overarching, that's going on, that goes beyond every troll and every big UFO person. Like, this is big. They don't want us to be talking about this. And if anything, that's something that just drives me to keep talking about it. It's like this psychotic thing I can't break. And I know they don't want anyone talking about all of this stuff. So they do this. They find the voices they want to grow. They find the opinions that they want to have be at the forefront of everybody's mind, and they feed whatever they can feed to that voice to make it bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until they have some huge platform to execute whatever the thing. And they've managed to cancel out any other influencer in these spheres to call people felons, the defamation is just insane from all over angles and everything, but like, it's just trying to move into a new direction. I just don't understand why somebody who's the ufology person all over, Twitter is going to be the first one to follow the person who's caused the most conflict.
My personal theory on that is that they're totally in communication and have been for years and have been coordinating for years, and Elizondo's starting to become radioactive, in my opinion.
What do you mean by that? Like, he's pushing people away from him?
I think people are trying to separate themselves from him recently. That's kind of the vibe I get. Like, kind of what they did to DeLong after the Rogan interview,
Yes.
I'm kind of getting that vibe with Elizondo now, and I think it has large in part to do with this, because it has been so well documented, and it's always kind of like coming back to him. You know what I mean?
That's true. It all leads back to him. Yeah.
So whenever everybody who gets targeted, it's in something in relation to Elizondo. It's not because they asked Whitley Strieber if he had sock puppet accounts. You know what I mean? That they all started getting targeted, or it's not because Tupa made a video like defending people from getting attacked from like Greer, right? It's always Elizondo's name. So I think they've been working together, and I think he needs Milkfart to be quiet, and he can't risk like him actually going full whistleblower mode, which I hope happens, and I think will happen one day.
That actually is the only rationale I can think for the aggressive attacks. From, like I told you, I got the first message and it was like, it's this, Tupa's this, Rich read it. And I was like, wait, that's not like a solution. And the easiest way to distract people is to do that. Oh no, I'm not lying. You're lying. You're the liar. You're this, you're that, you're this, you're that. And then suddenly we're not talking about who is actually lying.
Okay? Or why they're lying.
And so that's why I also said, hey, so I wrote, and so he had another statement that he has here, but like, it's not all about King Milkfart. I'm going to say that too. Like, we're talking about NASA. Oh, here we go. Here we are. Oh, so many things. Now he's just messaging me nonstop. This is too much.
Well, he wants to be heard. You're
all
talking
right, here
about.
we go.
All right, go
I'll
ahead.
just read it. I haven't read it, but I obviously know it's painful. Anything about kids, I don't feel comfortable talking about.
I agree with that.
It appears that he says that none of that's true. That's all I'm going to say, and I'm going to move on to the next topic. We don't need to talk about that. Then he posted a bunch of stuff from tupacabra.com, which if you're into the know, that we've seen it. And then he wrote absolutely disgusting lies. And then more random screenshots of things that that people wrote. I don't know. He's a liar. Then he said he was a liar. And then there's a picture of Sam, calling him toxic AF. I don't know. And then there's some creepy things happening here. I don't know what this is. Somebody just, they don't see any action. Goddamn, I love America. Sock rocks holding, there's some guns. Oh, that's fucked up. Beers, bees, threat. I don't know. Like, this is so much psycho-ness. I can't even,
Sounds rough.
I just went through all this. I don't even know what I'm just looking at. Like, it just looked like I'm just looking at like a total meltdown. Like, and it's a person. It's okay, because this is how this operation happens. This is how this stuff happens. I think the best thing I can say here is that he's just defending himself, and it sounds like he's saying all these accusations are false.
Yeah, totally.
When I look through all these weird screenshots and weird things sent my way and like all these weird pictures, like I don't even know what the hell he's trying to make point. Like, I just feel like it's one sensational thing after the other just to try to ping me, to trigger me to act some certain way. Like, I don't even feel like it was real information that I just got. It was just a bunch of garbage that was trying to trigger me to do something. Does that make sense?
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah, unfortunately, it makes too much sense after
it's a shame,
my experience.
Actually.
Yeah. I wish I didn't know what that meant, but I feel you. 100%.
Well, King Milkfart Alternative is here. Is that what that is?
There's been several,
And I'm not thinking DMs anymore. He can just put it in the chat.
Yeah, you can put it in the chat if you want.
Put it in the chat.
Amy, good job, by the way.
This stuff is all confirmed. It's all provable. We've talked about this several times. These are recorded spaces. A lot of the stuff we're referencing, people can feel free to go back and scroll in there and look at it. Again, it's like, dude, King Milkfart's great. I wish he would just kind of stop his behavior. But I just can't help but ask why is it happening? And is it a symptom of something much larger, right? And if it is, then that needs to be figured out, as soon as possible. Because if we're getting information from someone who's potentially doing this or green lighting this, or, even passively approving it because the issue really is, if Elizondo was behind any of this stuff and was kind of a dick, it's like, okay, fine, be a dick. I don't know. You can't control people online, but there's that other facade of, what are his mission statements, right? Like, I'll never tolerate abuse and all this stuff. It's like, dude, well, if you're willing to have that kind of dichotomy, that kind of flip, right? Where, we're allowing our friends or our associates or, our followers to behave in some of the worst ways that ufology has ever seen, 100%, and causing some of the most interesting backlash, that's obvious and felt throughout the community, that guy gets a pass. It's just a strange thing.
Yeah, and I got some more clips here just so we could go through evidence, right, for the room and stuff.
Please.
Here's Milkfart confirming he was given false information, accusing someone, my friend, Paranormal Chris, of being a rapist. And this was immediately after Paranormal Chris had posted a video proving that Elizondo was lying about something. Like, he had been on the platform for months. And so here, and I want to reiterate to the room, like, I feel bad for Milkfart because the person who told him this false info didn't do it because they know it's illegal. So here's the audio.
King Milkfart confirms.
Milk, I got a question for you, bud.
So we all remember Paranormal Chris, right? He was on the platform. He was on the platform for a few months, and then randomly, after like 4 or 5 months he was on the platform, that's when you guys started to falsely accuse him of raping his elderly neighbor. And I was wondering what changed. Why did you decide to do it when you did?
Okay, I'll happily answer that, except I want you to ask it in its non-loaded form, please, because that's most certainly not what happened.
What caused you to falsely accuse Paranormal Chris of being a rapist after months of him being on the platform?
Yet again, no one accused him of being a rapist. There was a rape case, and the transcript of it had his full name in it, and it was horrific. He was asked about it, and he chose to not only not deny it, he chose to go on the attack and then block every time someone brought it up. So if he was trying to explain away his innocence, he did a real shitty job of that.
So he actively denied it like multiple times. And I hope everyone heard the way that King Mokfart described what he did. He said there was a case that had his name on it, right? So they know what they're doing. They know it's not him. He had his coach.
Dude, he didn't deny it. He didn't deny it hard enough. That's his crime. He didn't deny it hard enough.
And he actually did deny it though too. So that was
yeah. He denied it. Hello.
Yeah, he's not saying, he doesn't even think it's him. You know what I mean? So I'm asking you again, why did you do it when you did?
That's demagoguery, man.
Yeah, man, I'm sorry. If you can't be intellectually honest and have an actual conversation and like take into consideration what the person you're having the conversation with is saying when you bounce your bizarre.
Joe, just tell me why you did it when you did. Why didn't you do it a month before that, or why didn't you do it a month after that?
Panda,
what happened?
keep doing this. Joe,
why do we do
doing this thing where he says Joe did it, right? And this is another thing that's a little, I'm confused.
Yes,
because you're like, Joe
they
did it, but then you're like, they did it. So we go from it's an individual, but then you're like,
why
no,
do
it's
some
they,
people
though.
masturbate while reading Guns and Ammo, bro? You know what I mean? Real shit.
Hey, Matt, why did you do it when you did?
Why do we do anything when we do it? Maybe, I don't know, because I didn't know about it until I knew about it.
How did you find out about it? Love these moments, KMF.
Did you hear me?
No, I didn't hear you. You're muted. Say it again.
Okay, genius. I was DM'd about it.
You were DM'd about it. Ooh, it's heating up, y'all. It's heating up. Who are you DM'd by?
Someone who's not even in this room.
Who is it?
They did.
So he doesn't say who it is, right? But he says he was told that by someone else. And then here's another one of people calling it drama. Here's John Greenwald, who, like I said, has been targeted since like 2018 on like 3 different solid campaigns.
Not cool. Not cool to go after Greenwald. I'm just gonna say that. Not cool.
And also respect to him because he's one of the few people in this field who calls it out. Like I respect you guys. Here's him talking about. I'll just play it. He's talking about a troll group of 300 people doing coordinated attacks back in 2018 or 2019, I think. So
real quick too, I just want to say that like Paranormal Chris, King Milkfort went on to make several posts, different posts, reiterating he is Paranormal Chris is 100% guilty of this. It was definitely him. He is this person. That person is him. He did this to this person. Like he wasn't ambiguous about it. It was something he hammered on through several different accounts. Very, very wild. It's a wild thing to do.
And here's the John Greenwald thing.
John Greenwald describes a hatred troll group of 300 people doing coordinated attacks.
I know for a fact that there were literally Facebook groups, 2019, 2020, that were formed, private groups, that were essentially coordinating attacks. And I know that for a fact because somebody was able to talk their way into one of these groups, and they would literally figure out who they were going to attack and how they were going to attack them. And they would essentially do that. And at first I didn't believe it. And then somebody told me, you are going to have your Halloween decorations used against you. And I'm not joking. And they will accuse you of racism. And I kid you not, it actually happened. They took photographs that I had posted on social media of my Halloween decorations. And they were skeletons. I'm known in my neighborhood for doing this. I go all out. on Halloween. The kids love it. I love it. It's awesome. So I take pictures, and there were skeletons hanging a guy with a cloak over his head, or what's the right word? The black cloths that they put over somebody's head, and
like a shroud.
A shroud, yeah. Whatever the old time, like when somebody was going to be executed, they would put the bag over their head, and it was a black bag. Well, anyway, somehow they construed that as that I was a racist and that I was lynching somebody in my front yard. And that's not even remotely close to being true, but that's what happened. And it was all concocted in this Facebook group of hatred trolls. And that's what happened. And I asked, how many people are in this? Because then they caught my ear. I'm like, holy mackerel, you're actually telling me the truth, that they're coordinating attacks. And the last I heard from that person, there were like 300 people that were in these groups that were doing just that. And that was a couple of years ago. Fast forward to today, you see these attacks that do seem coordinated.
So yeah, I just want to reiterate, we've heard from John Greenwald, me, Tupa, Nadia Drake, Sean Kirkpatrick, multiple NASA panelists were in that little other clip too. So like, if you think it's drama, like I don't know what to tell you, like,
or that it'll just go away if you just ignore it.
That's what that sounds like. Yeah,
it's not a naturally forming series of bad ideas. That's what I think we have to come to terms with, right?
And it's a hate group, right?
100%.
Of 300 people.
It's literally a hate group.
Yeah.
Of 300 people. That's what John just said in that clip you played. There's
that was from a Facebook group too, right? So different platforms as well. And that's what we hear, is that a lot of these guys who come up here and kind of bandstand for KMF or these other guys, they know them from other platforms, Reddit days, all different types of stuff. It's like, okay, so it's not just one thing. It's not just Twitter. You got to imagine, like, if this narrative is so important, we're sitting here, we talk about our theories all the time. We talk about like how protected this topic is from the government and the lengths they'll go to, the lengths they have gone to, just to kind of protect the topic itself and to keep people asking the wrong questions instead of the right ones, and just to kind of slightly nudge you the wrong way and go down these other avenues online. You got to think, right? Their tactics got to be much more easier to implement. They don't have to keep on sending guys out. They can create all kinds of, one guy could run 45 different bot accounts, make it look like that certain trends are forming, certain articles are being shared because they're so good. Is it, or is it because there's a noise, there's a noise effort? Is there
buckle the fuck up?
Yeah, we get KMF, we get these guys, right, saying the same exact thing, trying to amp up the same exact stuff. And they're just kind of like wagging the dog, and then making it look like there's natural noise forming. We could all say whatever, right? Everybody's going to go with their own compass. People don't have to be in ufology to like be a lone wolf or whatever. You can go with the group, do whatever you want to. But I think it is important to identify it, only because the negative things people can catch themselves up in.
And it harms people, right? So we should actually care about people in this field if we want to be like a good human. But it also actively hampers disclosure. You think other scientists, when they watch both NASA panels bring up harassment, are like feeling motivated to get involved with this subject? You know what I mean? Both NASA panels. People have been wanting a NASA UFO hearing for decades. And at both of them that they've had so far, they talked about this. Multiple people did.
They're just trolling, right? This has nothing to do with the government, or does it?
I mean, if Lou Elizondo currently is contracted by the Space Force and he's like rounding up all these crazy people, who knows, right?
I agree.
I've seen
and
these
Project
people.
Mockingbird. Project Mockingbird was real. That's why I'm on the train with you, Red Panda.
Thank you. I appreciate it. We've seen the clips of them in the 70s talking about, oh yeah, it's media asset cultivation. It's old as time. You get an intel guy telling you you're special, this XYZ, just push this narrative, hate this guy. Oh, that guy's research is totally bullshit. Don't even look into it. Like da. Before you know it, you're someone else's mouthpiece. And if you say anything against it, not only are you going to lose access, you're going to get harassed. And you've seen it happen to multiple people, so you don't want that because because most people don't want to deal with this stuff, and I get it. I don't hate them for it. I really don't. It's a lot to deal with. Our years have not been fun calling this shit out. Has it, Tupa? You know what I mean? Like, I get it. But I think if we want to have UFO truth and like hold the government accountable, like why the fuck aren't we doing it in our own time period?
We need to hold the government accountable. You said it, Red Panda. We need to hold the government accountable. This isn't a silly issue anymore. And now people are coming in and trying to rain on people who've been studying this for decades. Like, this is the issue. And so this is what I'm seeing. Like when it's like you're saying, like the word drama isn't like the best word to use, because
It's an
I feel
active
like
weapon of theirs. It's one of their best assets. It's one of their best weapons, is getting people to tune out and zone out and not look into it because it's just drama and they don't want to get invested with that.
And then those same people inadvertently share, you know, the propaganda. They'll share a fake GoFundMe meant to defame somebody, right? They'll share a fake claim, you know, meant to defame somebody because they think they're helping, you know, they're helping, or, you know what I mean? They're just joining in on the fun. And it's like, damn, you know, how many times has this happened? You know, these same tactics are very, you know.
And this shit goes back, like I said, similar stuff was happening to James McDonald. Similar stuff was happening. People don't like this one. Similar stuff was happening to Paul Benowitz. You know what I mean? It's not like this field. It's not like this is something new to this field. You know what I mean? There's a clear history of this.
It's you know, we got about 15, 20 minutes left here. So are you guys what do you see in the near future or next year? Is it going to get worse? Is it going to calm down? Will KMF go away?
I think it's going to go all the way, guys. And that's why people are like acting all weird about it. Like, I think this is going to be like potentially like a major court case because of the number of there was something posted the other day. It was the eBay harassment scandal. And this was over the course of 2 years. Some executives at eBay kind of greenlit a harassment campaign against this elderly couple. And it was 2 people for purposes of narrative control because they didn't like what they were saying about their product, right? Yeah. And if your product could be disclosure, and if you're targeting people because you don't like what they're saying about your disclosure product, it's pretty similar. And when you look at them together, it's like what's happened here is so much bigger in scale and has affected so many people and across the world. You know what I mean? People in all the countries have been targeted by this group. People in all countries have been recruited by this group. I think it's going to go all the way, to be honest. There's no way like you get disclosure without addressing this, I think, because of the scale of it. You know, like I said, if eBay could become a thing, this is definitely a thing. And if it has ties to the leaders of the disclosure movement, this is a thing we see. We've heard people say, I don't want to name drop them, but a common thing you hear is, oh, no one's going to care about this because Lou's going to get us disclosure. Like, it's going to go away. Like, you really think people will care about this? And it's like, what I tell people is, it's the literal opposite. If we get disclosure because of this, it's going to be like World War II, where like everyone even tangentially related to World War II has like 10 books written about like every aspect of their life. You know what I mean? So like these manipulation tactics and these harassment campaigns being weaponized against citizens, private citizens, is going to be studied. Like every faceless bureaucrat tweet, and not just the ones that are like archived, like are all going to be publicly available forever. You know what I mean? Lou Elizondo's current burner that he's out there running around with, potentially engaging with these people. Like, you can't delete anything anymore. King Milkford's past 3 accounts are all going to be public record. You know what I mean? So,
Amy,
I'm just kind of blown away, to be honest. I think this is one of those things that has honestly kept me going, because at first it was funny to joke that I thought the government was listening to me. Like, I was like, ha ha ha, the MIB, shut up, the stream. Yeah. And then time goes on. Like, and this also relates to my love for Third Phase Moon and Bren Blake and all the work that they've done, because they
were hella demonized and targeted. They were
God.
Elizondo calls Greer a terrorist. So anybody who they call as being part of the Greer, like I think both of you guys have been accused of being in the secret Greer meetings. Yeah. You get that terrorism label too, basically.
Yeah, it's amazing to be put into that group, considering I just interviewed Greer. I never actually talked to him.
Yeah, and that's projection in my opinion too.
I think it's so organized.
It is. You know, the more I'm hearing, well, it sounds like it's a lot of people, but to me, it sounds like it's just a handful of people acting like 300.
Yeah, that would be my guess as well. That it's designed that way. You know what I mean? There's so many different sock puppet accounts. There's so many different people with one. You know what I mean? It's just to create noise.
Yeah.
When you look at things, you know, as a marketer, or if you create media, you can see like how important little nudges, you know, they are. So a little bit of doubt, you know. And I think something that Amy said is really important, where like, who couldn't understand, you know, being in a position of power and elevating the voices that are in line with your ideals and you know what I mean, and your goals. So that's a natural thing. No one's faulting anyone for helping people get exposure and going on someone's show and be like, dude, you know, I mean, no one's fault. That's amazing. More support, more love. You know what I mean? But then it becomes a situation where what's happening now is, and what has been happening is, it looks like, is there's a stamping out of just dissenting voices, which, how does that work? Why do we, you know what I mean?
They want to silence people.
Exactly.
They want to silence people. People thought it was so crazy idea that the US government may be going and trying to infiltrate our podcast network. But guess what? They did. I'm pretty sure. I seriously
They
believe
did.
it. I don't
And
know
you were
what'll
front
happen
center for some of
next.
it, too.
I don't know.
Yeah, they did.
Remember,
You can watch
my
it.
friend, 3D friend, is in the chat. Crazy chick. I don't know if she's here. I'm like, you're not going to believe it, but I think the government infiltrated my podcast network. And she's like, weird. But at first it was a joke. And then, like, as time goes on, you see it. But you have to look at Project Mockingbird, because they did put agents into the newspapers during that time, which I do believe, like, they were organizing to make sure that none of that information would get out. Anything about the UFOs, anything about JFK, all that stuff. They were coordinating it to make sure that the public got exactly what they wanted, that they could control the people with. And so, since we know this history, it's like, it's not. I just think, I mean, it's wild.
Exactly.
It's wild
like naive.
because we're not just talking about trolls. We're talking about government psyops. That's what this isn't just like,
Right.
oh, we're so sad the trolls are mean to us. No, that's not what this is.
Well,
this is an overarching conversation.
Well, then let's think about that, Amy, for a second, guys. What does that mean? Yeah, what Amy just said.
Well,
I go ahead, Red.
No, you go, Chiba, go.
Well, I mean, I just look at it and I think that, the way that this disclosure is being rolled out is part of a process, a plan, a system, and that it's prescribed. And I think at the very least, what this does for me is it begs me to call to attention or ask the questions about who's doing this, and as a researcher, as a citizen, as a believer in this topic, are my interests in mind with this plan? Are they in line with it? My best interest as someone who wants truth, or am I supposed to become a fanatic of Lou Elizondo in order to, to have a good time here? Am I supposed to just take whatever is told to me by this group, right, in order to not have my family or my friends or my fans be targeted and doxxed? That's the question. And while we can sit around, there's the sunlight's the best disinfectant. Will the problem solve itself? I don't know, but definitely by talking about it, it's way more important than not.
Well,
it's good to talk about. Yeah.
With nobody getting along, it's going to be very easy for them to pass and eliminate some of this stuff in this bill with the Schumer amendment going on to take out that language, because no one's standing up behind. Like, you see what I'm saying? They can take away the political advocacy at this point. If people don't want to know about the aliens, they don't have to, but they're afraid to say that they want to know about the aliens. That's the truth. Everybody does want to know about the aliens.
I think some of the politicians, who knows, maybe not, but my personal theory is some of them we see stepping away from it might even be related to this. But what I was going to say initially was to what Amy had said was like, yeah, I just feel like naive, right? Because it's like, we've all been researching this stuff, and we read about like, oh, they did fucked up shit in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, Benowitz and stuff, and it's like, we're supposed to just think, oh, it just stopped right now, right? You know what I mean? And it's like, what I say is like, UFOs, the phenomena, it's a fundamental aspect of reality that we live in. So like the government convincing us that it's not real is akin to convincing us the sun isn't real or something like that. You know what I mean? And you don't do something like that being clean. It's dirty. It's been dirty since the 40s, at least. You know what I mean? And on the flip side, too, even the environment they fostered, it's dirty, too, on like a grifting scale, right? That's why we see so many like snake oil salesmen and people just like peddling like kind of fake stuff, right? Because this whole field is dirty and like unregulated compared to like other fields. You know what I mean? Like if Lou Elizondo was a volleyball coach or some shit, you know what I mean? In a college volleyball league doing this, it would already probably have been called out. But because this field exists in this weird gray area, not regulated, it's able to, this weird harassment stuff is able to exist, in my opinion.
I just forgot what I was going to say. Damn it.
But why don't they want us talking about the UFOs? Because it comes back to the Lou Elizondo quote, which is, I want to rip ufology into tiny little shreds. They really don't want us talking about this.
Good quote.
What he said.
He wants to rebuild it in his image. You know what I mean? The idea is to break something down entirely, right? And how would a person trained in counterinsurgency and counter espionage, right? How would he utilize a UFO community. And when you look at, I don't mind getting a little conspiratorial, a little bit more conspiratorial, but the idea of like, what is UFO Twitter? When did it become popular? Who started using it?
He literally made it. He takes credit for it.
Okay, so
I remember it earlier. I'm writing a documentary about it coming out January 11th.
Oh yeah, we're supposed to still chat about that. I'm sorry, but yeah.
So Lou,
no, I was just
Lou started UFO Twitter.
Did he? I don't think so. I don't think so.
The first one to do it,
No,
I think
I
was-
remember the first time I used UFO Twitter, and I can tell you what it was, and I didn't even know who Lou Elizondo was, and I was deep into it. So that showed. So, well, first time I used it is I was watching UFOJ, and I was following her on Twitter, or whatever. And then what happened is they demonetized, Third Phase of Moon. And I thought that was so whack, and I was so sad because I was just a little like, I just watched the shows, dude. Guys, I love the shows. It was like what I did. Like, why quit the shows if I'm going to be in the live chat anyway? Like, that's the joke I tell myself. Like, okay, quit the shows. But then I was like, so I went to Twitter because I wanted to post it somewhere where people would get it, where there's not all these search issues going on. And so after that kind of happened, when I look into it and I see all this stuff that was going on with it, like slowly over time, I found Jane. And then I started using hashtag UFO Twitter. She was the first one I saw use it. And I saw it. She posted one day, hashtag UFO Twitter. And all it was a cute little photo of like somebody who thought it was a UFO, right? They're like, it's a UFO. And it was just a photo. That was all it was. It was raw photos.
Well,
That's it. Raw
I'd
photos,
imagine
raw
that
data.
UFO Twitter was, it's UFO and Twitter combined. My guess is that it's been around forever. But
It was made by Elizondo. The first one to do it was Danny Silva and Adam Goldsack.
Danny Silva and Adam Goldsack are names that come up in kind of like a Lou Crew, established situation, right? These guys were early on in social media influencing, right?
First generation have the profile picture with a circle and slash.
Yeah.
Wait, that's interesting. Did you look that up? That you were just able to see that?
Yeah, and they claimed it. I can send it to you.
Yeah, dude, that'd be great. I'll put it in the documentary. This is why I'm excited, actually. It'll be a great place to start the hashtag.
It's really interesting. You know what I mean? How it started to get promoted as like the hub, and the ways in which it was done. I mean, if you know anything about guerrilla marketing, right, or social media marketing, you know that you need a group of people that are kind of naturally embedded into kind of like communities to promote certain things, right? Like, it's the best way to do it. That's why influencers are paid for sponsors and stuff like that, right? So in this instance, right, it's like, okay, well, now we have some, there's a idea that needs to get sponsored. There's disclosure is about to happen, right? We want it to come out in the specific way. We want certain people looked at as sources. We want certain ideas pressed up. We want certain belief systems, implanted, because we're ready to roll out X and Y. And so, yeah, social media marketing plan is like the least you could do. It's like one of the first things I would do. If you were involved in the disclosure process, you are absolutely concerned with ufology, with UFO Twitter, with UFO conventions. You want your guys everywhere. You want this community accepting your ideas at open arms. You don't want them calling you out. You don't want them asking funny questions. You know what I mean? You want to embed yourself in that situation so that you become very naturally brought into the system, like it's like anything else, because this stuff existed, right? The Greer conventions, you know what I mean? Like, these stories existed ever since they first started to come out. So what I'm looking at now, it kind of looks like this is just modern social media tactics to kind of figure out and foster certain ideas and get a lay of the land.
I got some good things right here. Quick, I wrote it down. So Elon Twitter identified that there were multiple bots when he took it over. He was like, a third of this is all like bots, guys. Don't be surprised when I take your followers away. That's what it said when he purchased it. Right. And so the question that I have is like, how many bots? You could invest so much time, and it might even be cheap to create bots who have accounts that you invest into a campaign. It's not even out of the realm of possibility.
KMF is the only person I've ever heard say that they knew exactly where to go, how easy or hard it would be to do it, and how expensive or cheap it would be to do it. And his targets have come under the attack of bot attacks multiple times. So it's interesting. It'd be a very interesting coincidence. You know what I mean? If that wasn't connected. But yeah, the bot army is definitely possible, right? And when you look at Amy, when you look more into like the Twitter files, and you listen to Elon even recently talk about what Twitter was used for. What was it used for? It was
Right.
essentially an arm of the Democratic Party, which is strange. I'm not trying to like. That's what he said. That's what he said.
Well,
That
what?
he's the
Like,
person who
I
looked under
mean,
the hood. And
dude,
so
they were. Oh, don't even get me started. This is the path I knew we'd walk. Oh
well,
gosh.
it
Okay.
speaks to
I got really
censorship.
excited when you started talking about Twitter being on. Oh yeah, I want to talk
Well,
about.
isn't it strange that like this stuff happens, right? And in the midst of it, Elon Musk buys Twitter, and Twitter now becomes kind of like more of a rogue agent. So whatever control mechanisms were in place there, are kind of like up in the air. At the same time, this kind of stuff is kind of coming out, and now we get a look at under the hood and can say, yeah, this was definitely serving certain people's ideals. Coincidentally enough, you have some of these same similar names from these camps at a very high level, presidential level. Those names are coming up in UAP, you know what I mean? UAP activism.
Well, when we're living in cancel culture, and what we see is that PhDs who are top of the line, whatever, in any sort of field, are getting, questioned when they're at the top. If it's Avi Loeb, if it's somebody else, whoever it is, that they get questioned as to kind of like their authority. And then they start using all these other tactics, like with Twitter. There were doctors who were blocked for no reason. They were taken off of Twitter because they had questions about coronavirus. And they were blocked. And then surely, then people will say, well, no, they were giving out misinformation and all this stuff. Okay, sure, possibly. But as time has gone on, we have seen that reputable voices that have PhDs at Ivy League colleges were taken off Twitter so that people wouldn't ask them about a specific topic.
Absolutely. That's no exaggeration. And come to find out that these doctors, scientists, right, people were presenting facts, evidence and facts that ended up being, oh, that was true. It was just too inconvenient to talk about at the time. And yeah, what was the censorship around this topic? What were the mechanisms in place on Twitter about this topic? Why is it that sensible people, I'm convinced that UFO Twitter or ufology is full of sensible people like any other community is, a majority, right? Even though we're a we kind of might have a high saturation of fringe thinkers, we're still mostly decent people. How did this go under wraps for so long on Twitter? How was this isolated from how could these attacks take place? And then how could news of them not really spread outward?
Oh my gosh. Someone's trying to psyop me right now, dude.
Whoa. Yep. And I want to play two more clips, I think, before we head out, that just go to more of like the order giving, like hierarchical structure of this. So here's Sawan, who's one of these guys who was mentioned at the hearing, saying, so basically he's attacked multiple people, called for the doxing of multiple people. I think he's even attacked you, Alien Girl, but I don't want to like rehash it with relaunch attacks.
It's normal. We're good.
So he started going after Jeremy Corbell in that UFO podcast. And within 48 hours, he was given a call by someone who he claims is close to the disclosure process and knows Jeremy Corbell. And they told him to stop doing that. And the point being here is that person who gave him that call could have said, stop harassing everyone. And they didn't. So there's like clear people who it's okay to go after and clear people who it's not. So here's this clip.
So yeah, I just tweeted that out. So I was
attacking AP talk.
Seriously, what's going on in Samhain world? It looked like you're a rogue now. So yeah, I just tweeted that out. So I was pissed at Corbell, but then some people that know Corbell well told me this is how it has to be. Like some people that know Corbell and know what's going on with this disclosure process talked to me about it and told me to chill the fuck out and understand why Corbell was doing what he is doing. So I'm not going to give him a hard time about it anymore.
Yeah, Solan's had several pull aside talking tos, and he knows what's up. He's been learned. I think everything's gonna be just fine.
Can you tell Uplifting Tweets to unblock me? I don't know why he blocked me. I think he got mad that I was supplying him in something. I think I was saying Corbell's a grifter, and I think he took it as I was saying he was a grifter as well.
No. He was just I'm sure, like most people, he didn't know that you had the talk.
So there's one of them, and then here's another one that actually involves Lou Elizondo himself. And
isn't Uplifting Tweets someone?
Yeah.
He's part of
right.
This
like it's
for sure. Yeah.
But like, doesn't he have a podcast?
He makes memes for them, and he makes memes actually for Jeremy.
For them, yeah, he makes memes for Weaponized, I think.
He makes their thumbnails. He also makes the thumbnails for the Matt Ford Good Trouble Show.
Yeah.
And then so and I want to reiterate too, I think a lot of these people are actually victims in their own way. And I've actually seen a lot of progress from UAP Mike, compared to where he was, I feel like. And I like, that's the other thing too I want to say, like even Milkfart and so on, there's times where I really enjoy their input and like what they have to say on the topic when they're not doing this crazy stuff. You know what I mean? But here's him, and I'll just kind of set this up. Basically, this was at a time when UP Mike and his wife were actively harassing Black Vault and Zach Zischi. And this is when Jeremy McGowan was working on the TV show with Lou Elizondo, and he was kind of in his camp, right, before he did his articles that I'm sure we all kind of know about, where he was kind of speaking about, and he was targeted because of it. So basically, while he was still in with Elizondo, UP Mike's wife had made a post criticizing something he had said about Amy Coney Barrett. And basically, Lou Elizondo took it upon himself to actively reach out to them and have them take the post down. So, and like, this is just part of like their kind of like harassment that they do, just like constantly like bombard people with like, you're sexist, you're racist, da da da. But the point being is, at that same time, they were actively attacking John Greenwald and Zach Zischi, and Elizondo could have said, stop doing this to everyone. He specifically said, stop doing it about McGowan, didn't address Black Vault, and then afterwards, like, love bombed them and reward them. But here's the audio of Mike telling us about that. I'm curious, like, how many times do you might have you and your wife talk to Lou Elizondo?
I've never talked to Lou Elizondo. My wife has talked to her once, I think, because of a Jeremy McGowan incident in which Jeremy McGowan had made a post about a lesbian, something about a lesbian being dug up to attack Amy Coney Barrett. And I guess my wife had posted about it. She was pretty upset. And I think Chase Klotsky reached out to my wife and was like, hey, Lou saw your post, was really upset. He's not a homophobic person and he would really like to talk to you about it. And so he called my wife and she had a great conversation with him about how, that's not who he was. And that kind of hate wasn't representative of him.
Oh, and that was when Jeremy McGowan was kind of like still, when they were working on the show and stuff, right? Before the article?
I think, what article?
The articles that McGowan wrote, it was like before that stage.
I think so, yeah. I don't think he's written anything at that point.
And then after that, Elizondo like kind of love bombed them with the sock puppet account, and Chase Klotsky, the intermediary, like said that Elizondo appreciates UP Mike and his wife above like basically the rest of UFO Twitter people. So he does see things, you know what I mean? He monitors Twitter.
They're reaching out to somebody directly and contacting them over a social media post. Right? Isn't that evidence of someone really caring about what people are posting to reach out personally? That's just
well, why Twitter, right? Because it's synthetic. I guess that's the way I could say it. Maybe they don't use it now because with Grush or whatever. I just think it's freaking weird that it does all seem coordinated. It does all seem coordinated, and
right, when
and
you
the
hear all the
clips
different
that
pieces together, right? Yeah.
Well,
yeah, and to like
take a
the
quick
interest
look.
in the small podcasters was always weird to me. That was weird. I'm sorry.
No, I totally agree with you because it seems super petty, right? But
now they're the big podcasters.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Well, what you could observe is the way that a lot of these narratives, right? A lot of these little bits and these leaks and stuff are disseminated from those hubs. So they became very important, right? They became so you're like, at first it's like, well, these are just, everyone can just have their own little podcast and talk about it. But no, because if you have control over like, where this information's coming, how it's getting out, then you get a lot. You
buckle the fuck up.
Those are interesting. I actually lost track of what I was thinking about.
But it's the people that he brought in, and he created his whole network of people. And it's not just Lou. Like we can't like that's the thing. It's like I'm not gonna put it all on. I'm not gonna say it's all Lou Elizondo or it's all King Milkfart or it's not. It's how it always is. There's always some bigger vested interested group that's going to find some way to push out the information they want in any way. And we are all being used as puppets in whatever way that you want. If you're jumping into this conversation and you're having it, we're all being influenced and we all have to be actively aware of it. And so I just think this conversation can be so enlightening for the whole community because it gives everybody the opportunity to take a step back and really ask yourself, what's the difference between the facts that you see, all the facts that you see versus opinion, right? And that's where the whole cancel culture thing happens. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Between opinion and fact, because it's easy to cancel someone if it's your opinion, but is that a fact that they're racist? Is that a fact that they're this? That's you get on this thing and it's like, well, what?
And also, they don't even care about that
triggering,
stuff.
guys.
They don't care about that stuff. They like amongst their own ranks, they do that and never call it out. You know what I mean? Like all they do worse stuff than that, right? What we're hearing. So,
Well, I can't think of anything else we could go over that we haven't talked about, and we're out of time anyway. But what can we wait before we go? One last thing. So, 6 months to a year from now, what do you think? Where are we going to be with all this stuff? Is it going to calm down, or is it going to get worse? New president comes in.
The harassment, I think, will die down. I think that, by talking about it, it's going to become less of an effective measure. And if it is something that's being used and utilized, then it's going to die down because, it only works if no one notices it. And so, as far as the narrative pushing stuff,
I think it goes show trial, like Wilcock and Good, right? How they kind of had like a trial and stuff is going on.
Like that deposition?
Yeah, stuff like that. I think that's where it's going to go.
Oh yeah, DMs are getting read out in a deposition. That would most likely happen.
Oh, I'd love to hear that.
That would be amazing.
So fun. So we can probably keep going for another hour easily, but we have spoken about a lot of things. The future looks good. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they'll back off. But I just never understand why they care so much about little people like us who really, we're not influencers yet. I don't think you can reach one to like what, 30,000, 50,000 subscribers. So we're very small channels. And for them to go after us and also be friends with us at the same time to fuck us over, it's a psyop. Yes, it's a psyop.
It is.
It really is. I think it is.
Well, you just have to look at the terms of power. Who has the power when Lou Elizondo shows up? The person who has more power is easily going to be the person that the little person goes up to and is like, "Oh, hey, what's going on?"
Totally.
And that's how that power dynamic works. You're super excited. The little, like, I mean, like the one who's trying to go and. I'm sorry, guys.
Lou Jimenez said on that.
What's the matter?
I'm just triggered and I want to talk and the show's over, but I talked a lot, but then I think I'm going to do a recap on my show tomorrow morning.
Good.
Oh, please do.
Trigger can go on again tomorrow morning for another hour. So I'm going to just be quiet. I want whack what happened. I don't like that people are attacked. And I think all three of us here, four of us, I'm thinking of you three. I think all four of us are very intelligent, awesome, cool people that have had really good back and forth. And if anything, the reason I'm here with you guys is all three of you have the ability to decipher between fact, opinion, and theory. And you also have a pretty good way of analyzing information where like I actually can legitimately be like, I'm gonna lean on this. And so thank you so much, all three of you, for being that for me. And I'll be quiet and I'll let the beast out tomorrow morning.
Thank you, Amy. And thank you, Rich, for being here. The bravery, the courage. A lot of people in this field don't have it. And hopefully by you speaking about it and more people speaking about it, we can cut out this weird undercurrent within our field and focus on theories and the UFOs. But intelligence, influence, and harassment is as much part of ufology as any picture has been historically, as any case. So that's my statement. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you for coming on, Red Panda and Tupacabra. It was
absolutely
super interesting. And, when I let you guys go, I'm still going to be here for about 4 more minutes. I want to show everybody a video that it's pretty interesting that I think it's a movie or documentary coming out, but it's 3 minutes long. So I want to play that for us before we get out of here at 5 after the hour.
Nice. Well, Amy, I can't wait for that. Go ahead. My bad.
No, go ahead. I was just saying thanks to Amy. That's all. And I'll talk to you tomorrow morning, of course. So that's it. I'm going to play a video. What were you going to say, Tupacabra?
I wanted to say thank you for having the show. I agree with Red. It's really important to be able to, to talk about this stuff and not really shy away from it. There's no hard lines. There's nothing that really can't be gone over by just kind of everybody should just pay attention. If you agree with it, if you think you've seen it, now you know what to label it. Now you know something like that exists, but now you know that it might be out there. Just pay attention, watch it.
I didn't realize how deep it went, really, till I heard all of these people getting hit one after the other. But I did hear it, and I just said, they're just being pussies because they can't handle it.
It's the best weapon they have.
right? It's amazing. Yeah, it sucks getting trolled by people. It really does. It's not fun. All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Amy, Tupa, Red Panda, thank you too. And you can find
Great
these.
show, guys.
Find everybody on X, right?
Oh, yeah.
And
Have a great
Amy
one.
at Alien Girl. Thank you, guys. Appreciate this. Amy, thank you so much. I appreciate you helping me out.
Yes, I think this was an important topic. I think it was adequately addressed, and I think you did a great job. Awesome host. Thank you for letting me be part of this.
I mean, can you expect any less? Oh, hey.
Hey,
You should watch this video. This is so creepy. I'm going to play it. It's fun. All right. You want to hang out and just watch this?
Sure.
5 minutes?
Yeah.
Not even 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And everybody, how was the chat room? Did we lose anybody?
Nah, they're all still there.
Oh, Madonna Mia. It
All
was
the
going
important
tonight.
ones.
Yeah, we didn't get to 250, but we got to like 221.
200, 220. Yeah, we got to like 225, something like that.
It was okay.
It
Yeah.
got wild. It got wild.
It
What do you guys
did a
think about
little
having
bit.
Stephen Bassett on? Me reaching Stephen Bassett.
What is this?
I might be
Why
able
is
to
this
score
on
it.
my thing? Look at
Why
this.
you watch it? What's going on? Oh, we're watching the Good Trouble Show.
I like that guy, but I
That's
don't.
what-
That's
it's a good show.
not what I.
It's a good show.
Hey, what are you doing tomorrow morning at 7 a.m.?
At 7 a.m. I'm going live on my UFO show called Good Morning UFO. I hope you guys come hang out with me there. I'm gonna set up a StreamYard link and drop it in the chat right now so you guys can come hang out. That's what I'm
Sweet.
doing tomorrow. Are you gonna be there?
Every morning I'm there. I go to get my my antibiotics, and then the show ends, and I am home. By 10 after 8. All right, here it is. This might have a little bit of a connection. It's called Ghosts in the Machine. Here we go. Somebody sent this. Who sent this to me? That name out. I think it was Samir.
As the world watches and listens in horror, the peaceful pro-democracy demonstration
Have you seen this,
in
Amy?
China comes to a violent and bloody end. Mr. Gorbachev,
Tear down that wall. Ah, the chess pieces. Who's the players?
Wolves hiding nearby, whispering, do or die.
What a bunch of assholes.
Around me.
See, we're at that war. Get to the chopper. Get down. Be right here. You'll find us in the shadows. At the tip of the spear. 3, 5, 4, fun, threat rises in the east. Feet, 5, 4. I love this kind of shit. Righty then. Din 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 din
There is
din.
another very important phase of warfare.
It's true.
It has as its target
All right, stop.
not the body,
Collaborate and listen.
but the mind of the enemy.
We're gonna listen to some
Target
distance.
psychological warfare is against the enemy's mind.
It is words and ideas.
Ammunition
That's Red
used
Panda.
by Cyborg.
Oh, there he is.
It looked just like him.
You look great.
He is. That was fun tonight.
Its
It was
mission is
awesome.
to influence the thoughts of
All
the
right, we
enemy
get the
soldiers.
point on this,
And at
right?
the same
Like
time,
floating
it is expected
bodies.
and encouraged.
The war. Oh,
Who's pulling the strings on the earth? That's what
super into
that's
the
about.
war scene. I was like, what's going on? Well, that was calm and peaceful and good, and I feel like everybody got it out. That was
I
good.
feel
Meltzer
like
was
that-
here. He said whatever he
Yeah.
wanted. I'm so happy. I'm glad Angela's here. That really warms my heart. I feel like the community really came together. And
How do you say her name? How do you say her name?
Angela.
Is it Angela? I keep calling her Angeli.
Angela.
I don't. Is it Angele? Angeli or Anjali?
Angela.
Angele? Because you asked her and she told you?
I think that's correct.
Angela. Santin Tropez with
I'm just saying, I'm
Angele.
so glad she's here. And other people, all sorts of people came into the community.
It was fun.
Arnar, everybody was here. Ian McFadden, Jimmy
He
Mack,
was? Oh, Ian
David
was here?
Wilcock, David Wilcox here.
Not
Marky,
Wilcock.
Truth Seeker, Bill. I saw Dorothy Hawkins earlier. It's a crazy.
Big Fat Creep was here.
I saw a lot of people. I saw Tom Beverly's here, Holmes, Zach's here,
Yeah,
Martin
Beverly's
R's here, SoCal Squatcher,
Good
YOYOY
show.
Fools.
Nah. What do you say there, XJ? YOY Fools was like, what was that documentary, You Clowns? Oh, it's called Ghost in the Machine. It's not a... Here, I'll play the rest of it because I wanted to talk. Watch the rest.
I love
30
the chat.
seconds.
This is why I love the chat. You clowns.
And the social
I know.
sciences such as history, economics, and sociology.
They love us.
He must have a broad and sympathetic understanding of all
I
phases
know
of
they
human
do.
experience.
Anjali.
Okay, Anjali.
The walls at night closing.
Use of this
Sandra.
force as an integral part of combat
The Joker.
has now taken on new form.
Douchebags are everywhere.
Say my
Dude, that's like
Hey, he's doing it.
I like that. That's how I feel when I'm on UFO Twitter. I feel like I'm in the dark. Oh.
Oh, look at this thing. Tear down that wall.
Oh,
PSYOP.
I really
These are
stimulated
the
by
Psy-War
things too
soldiers.
much. Psyop. That's how it makes me feel. What did it say? Psyop? Did it say psyop?
It said, so hold on a second. Psy-War. Psy-War.
Okay, I'm going to start saying that now. That's a cool buzzword.
I love that word, man. Psy-War.
I was having a Psy-War the other day.
Well, then you have Cyclops, which is almost like Psyops without a CL in there. That's interesting.
Cyclops.
You know, the one-eyed creature?
I know the Cyclops.
That's a real troll, man. Those trolls are the legit trolls.
Cyclops.
You know, the
Psy-War.
Shrek was a Psyop, wasn't he?
Psy-War with
shit.
Cyclops. Shrek was a troll. It's a new account on Twitter. It's called
Shrek sucks.
King Shrek.
Yeah, I've
Fart.
seen that before.
King Shrek fart. It's gonna exist tomorrow morning. You know it. King Shrek
Yeah.
fart. They're going wild on the internet. We don't even know what they're capable of. They're going insane.
How fast did that 2 hours go by?
Dude, I just was like constantly. I mean, and King Milkfart still sent us a last little message. I don't know.
We're still live, right? We're still live.
What? Yeah. No,
You know, it's
but, I mean,
interesting.
if we could recap, the audience is still trying to process too. You know?
Well, I wanted to bring him in, but what everybody told me is he interrupts and he tries to take over the show.
Well,
So
yeah.
we wanted to have these guys on with you and me, and just we're going to drip out the truth. We're going to do a little by little. So we're not going to do the Band-Aid rip. This was just
And, you
part
know-
one of maybe a few episodes like this.
And because there was so many requests from the audience that there be a balanced perspective, maybe you could do a whole other show with King Milkfart to have that
Agreed.
balance.
That's a really better idea.
People are like, "Oh, what are you scared?" We're not scared. No, we're fine with supporting all the voices. This is the idea that, you know, it's kind of like mediation. Maybe we can do some mediating.
Well, I feel like an elder statesman at this point. I think I
Like,
have
is
to
it-
take that role now at this time in my life.
Because the only reason that we couldn't bring them all in is because there were so many things going on, so many different energies. But like,
Right.
if they get 2 hours and he gets 2 hours,
There you go.
makes sense, and they don't have to try to cancel
One up each
out
other.
in terms of facts or who's the liar or whatever.
Well,
Like,
that
there's
you
enough
want
of
that though, but you also
Yeah.
want that.
There's enough of that here.
I don't want anybody telling me the truth. All I want to know is what you're going to read. That's it. I don't want any
All
rebuff.
of them here, it was still enough because they'll be in the chat, because I'm sure they'll be in the chat when King Milkfart comes on. Everybody's getting,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
fine. Everybody's getting their opinion. We love everyone. We want everyone to be able to speak their mind and get along and not
Hey,
do Psy-War.
Look at
No
us.
Psy-War.
I thought it was really interesting having them on because they were supposed to come on last week, and no, not yet, just not yet. And then it was only a week later we had to wait, and it was a good show. I think there was a lot of stuff said, like I haven't even digested what we've done yet. Yeah, processed it.
That's why when we were talking, I was like, oh, see, now we're just because I was like, I got to do another show about it tomorrow because I can't. I'm what? Which is wait. So when did hashtag UFO Twitter start? I gotta get the
2017.
Don't say that. Who invented UFO Twitter? Winning.
I love that.
Winning.
Charlie Sheen is winning. Well, Amy's you're on in the morning at 7 a.m. Eastern time, 5 Mountain Standard Time, right?
Yeah, I'm putting the link in the chat. And yeah, guys, I think the next one we're going to try, I can't say it out loud. People are like, you guys should do another show together. And I'm like, yeah.
And maybe we will. Maybe we'll do Mr. and Mrs. Claus for, Christmas. Right? You wear yours and I'll wear mine, and we can do a show about UFOs and Christmas. You don't celebrate?
Yeah. Oh no, I love Christmas.
Oh, okay. Yeah, me too.
What are you talking about? I love Christmas as much as I love UFOs. They're both these beautiful, beautiful, beautiful lands of things that make me forget about my life.
Isn't that the truth?
Christmas was like, if I really get into Christmas, I can forget about everything.
I know. I love Christmas.
Christmas and UFOs are my favorite that way.
It doesn't have to snow either.
No.
But it would be cool if it rained at least. So hopefully we'll get
Christmas
something.
every day.
Christmas it's 63 degrees in my house right now. It's getting down to freezing in Florida tonight. And my heat, if I turn it on, there's mold on the coils and it'll stink up the whole place. So I can't turn on the heat. Last year I was posting Twitter or tweets. Not tweets. What do you call it? TikTok videos. And you can see the breath coming out of my mouth in the house.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's so funny that you say that. You guys, it's just funny because we're just kicking back. But I was watching the first episode I did with you on your show when I came on your show the first time. And the first question you asked me was, what was the weather? And I said something like, it's 73 degrees and it's partly cloudy. And you were like, well, how did you know? And I was like, what the hell's wrong with this chick? Right. And I was like, whoa, because I was so nervous that I'd watched your other interviews and that's what you always asked people. So I always tried to make sure. And you were like, wow. And I was like, that's crazy. I was thinking about that earlier. There's a lot of psychic pings that I'm getting right now.
Are you really?
Make sense? Like, well, you get thought bubbles.
Yeah, it does.
And then, like, they try to connect them when I see like a lineage of thought processes and stuff. Like it starts to. So I'm getting like a lot of synchronicities lately. Like in the last 2 hours that we've been doing this show, like a lot of thought patterns have been like aligning. I don't know if that makes sense, but
it doesn't.
Yeah, and I'm probably
joking
gonna
with you.
sit out soon anyway. But I could go on and on forever. But if you want to,
No.
if you want to, I just.
Oh, you can go on. Just go ahead. Go on. Go on. Go on.
Okay. Where were we?
Look at your face. How are you not laughing at this?
I don't know, 'cause where I'm going. I could go on. Anyway.
Well, you'll do it tomorrow morning, and we'll all do it again tomorrow night.
There you go. There you guys. It's in the chat. See us tomorrow.
And thank you, Amy, for all you do. This bud is not for you. Huh?
What? There's no bud for me?
You don't want Bud. You don't want Budweiser.
Okay.
No, she's got to. Okay.
No, never mind.
So look, tomorrow Amy's on at 7 a.m. right here on the tube. So check her out. She takes care of the first 12 hours of the day. I take care of the last. The goodies all over time.
Something happens in the next 12 hours.
And tomorrow we'll
cover it.
And here on the show, we're going to talk about space tomorrow. Is space a lie? Did we go to the moon? All that stuff. Is there a firmament with water up and we're just a bubble of air and atmosphere? Think about it. Think about it.
Think about it, man.
Food for thoughts. That's tomorrow's show. Amy, thank you very much. Mucho gusto, excito bisto.
Text me. I'm going to jump off now, but call me, text me,
All
whatever.
right.
And you guys have a beautiful night. God bless everybody in the UFO community, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Peace.
Alien bless. Thank you. Hey. I've got cotton mouth up to yin yang. Oh, okay. I thought that was different. All right. Hey, we made it. Thank you very much. Look, I look like crap. Holy shit. It looks like I've been partying all night or something. It was a party. And I got to thank everybody who hung out. And it was good to see a lot of people here. And I know that some of you don't like the drama talk, but this, if you listened into what we were talking about, it's real serious. I didn't realize how deep it does go, and it goes all the way to the top. Well, the attacks, you know. So it's not just the small people like us, and it's not always King Milkfart either. But I wish everybody the best, and I hope, you know, we don't have to do any of this crap anymore. Why can't people just mind their own business, right? If we're talking about you directly, yeah, you can respond and be a troll if you want. But why do you have to defend another man? I don't get it. Like, what's the allegiance there? Like, is he your boyfriend? Is he your friend? Is he your lover? Brokeback Mountain? I don't, you know what I mean? What's going on? Why with these allegiances to Lou Elizondo? It's all like-minded individuals, and they feel like Lou's gonna do them favors, or because he says he will. Can you get me out of a tight jam? Remember, Ak wrote all that shit up. They were gonna help me out, get me out of a tight jam I'm in, and what do you think happened? Nothing. Lou lied to me. So they do to each other what they do to themselves. And that's why they're so miserable, and they want to cancel us, because misery loves company. And damn it, they're going to have to break the mold, and stop creating people like me then. Because I think there's just as many of us doing what we're doing as there are haters. How you deal with the trolls, it's all up to you. The best thing to do, and I saw it at the beginning of the show, is to ignore them. So, like when Cambion was going after me and all the other people, I didn't even watch anything they said. People were sending me clips, and I'm like, I really don't care. And then I'd listen to it 3 days later when I wasn't amped up about it. Talking about me! And then 3 days later, I'm calmed down, and I'm like, oh, that wasn't so bad. But just ignore them. That's my advice. That's what I do. And, nobody wants anybody to get hurt. I just can't see another individual wanting to scare someone by taking pictures of their homes, their children, the children's school they go to. That's like next level shit. That's douchebaggery 101 right there. If you're that person, you might want to go work for the government, because they got a project for you that you can go kill all the bad people you want. You got a problem? You can't stop killing? Go to your government. They'll set you up, give you a uniform and everything. Yeah. Oh, they'll give you 3 square meals a day, a gym, a toilet, a refrigerator. You might even get lucky and fall in love while you're overseas. Join the military, because there the allegiance to the alliance is unforgiving and eternal. Thank you, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube. Don't forget what we do here. You see it up over my shoulder there, right? There it is. We do it all the time. Truthology for UFO. Oh, it's Truthology for ufology. For you. For you. We'll be back. See you then. Don't forget Alien Girl in the morning. 7 a.m. Giddy up, be good, love yourself. Alien bless.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. God have mercy on your soul.
Warning. Control life. Warning. Warning. Failure. Control life. Warning.
Unidentified flying object.